We are recording the podcast in three, two.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by comicbookclick.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
This is All-Star Asa.
All Star Asa is in the building. Our first episode of 2025. And this is one of our favorite kind of episodes that we do, because this is the one that we go in with very little knowledge and then just spout out a bunch of opinions and hope that they are right. This is our predictions episode, where we will be looking at all the things coming out in 2025 and trying to do our best to predict what will hit and what won't. Now, we do these every year, so you can go back and check out old episodes and see how completely wrong I've been on certain things. So I think that that's interesting as well. But yeah, go ahead, check out those episodes. But if you're here and if you're watching us now as part of Major Issues Live, join in on the fun. Let us know what you think about some of the latest and greatest things to come to us in 2025. The embarrassment of riches. I've looked at some of this stuff here that we're getting next year, Asa, and I am freaking stoked. Um, there's some really, really good stuff. There's some, I wonder why they're making that stuff. And then, I know you've gotten your share of video game announcements that you kind of want to go through here. But if you are ready, we can kind of just start down.
Let's run it.
All right. Well, we'll start with unknown releases first. Things that we do not have a concrete release date for. So the first project is Gen V Season 2. Now, we covered Gen V on this. We
Mhm.
covered The Boys on this. In January of 2023, it was announced that Michelle Fizakis would lead the writers' room for a potential second season of Gen V, taking over as sole showrunner, while Tara Butters takes a break. By October, Amazon Prime Video officially renewed the series for a second season. Showrunner Eric Kripke hinted at its connection to the events of The Boys Season 4, stating Gen V will be the first glimpse into the new world that was created at the end of Season 4. So, are you excited for a second season of Gen V?
Oh, 100%. I think, well, one, the boys season 4 ended on such a scary cliffhanger
Yeah.
that I don't even know where they could go with it. Even for season 5 of the boys, no, much less the one of the spin-off shows. So I think it'll be very good.
I think so as well. Obviously, the biggest hurdle that they have to overcome was March of this past year. Chance Perdomo, who is a part of the main cast of Gen V, was killed in a motorcycle accident. And I know they've gone so far as to say that his death will be addressed. The character will die in season 2. I don't think it's very hard to kind of answer that. Last that we checked with these guys, they were all in some sort of weird underground bunker that they've all been sort of arrested in. So yeah, I think ultimately I gotta believe that Marie Monroe.
Yeah, Marie.
I think that she's gonna be like a standout boys character. Like I think she's going to be somebody who helps them in season 5, possibly end all this. And maybe it's all of them. Maybe it's their little group of superpower people. But what I love the most about Gen V is that when you watch The Boys, as I've said on our coverage for Gen V, The Boys is very anti-soup. And then you watch Gen V and you kind of have to live with the soups. These are the soups. There's no one to, you understand? Our protagonists are soups. So you kind of get to see their kind of perspective on this. Given that all of our opinions are basically arbitrary until we've actually seen any of these projects, I want to give a ballpark for anticipation. I won't even say about whether or not we'll think they'll be good. We'll do anticipation, and we'll do whether or not we think we're good in our general discussion of it. I do think that this is going to be good. I'm not asking it to be breakout. It just needs to be a good accompaniment to the boys' universe. As far as anticipation is concerned, I would say I would give it about a 3, just because I know it's coming and I know what to expect. And I'm gonna like it, but I'm not necessarily knocking on the door. Like if they said that they got postponed to 2026, I'll be okay.
Yeah, Yeah, I'd probably lean for only because of a
Yeah,
lot of times with the Kripke boys content. It's just so much fun. The fact that it's so gratuitous in like its like violence and like its gore. And the writing is all usually it was really well done. And then with Gen V, you did get like it did feel like a high school kind
yeah,
of thing, like a high school, like a 90s high school rom-com,
yeah.
with the in the boys universe. Um, I'm just curious to know if Asa German's character or the blonde girl who could touch and control you, her powers, what I can't remember her name to save my life.
Yeah, she shows up in the
I
boys. Remember her and him show up in the boys to give
Yeah,
getting like a
and
tour
because
of the vault hour.
and then they're there at the end when Homelander's taking over, and that's when Starlight flies away.
Is it Kate?
Um, I think it is Kate.
Yeah, with
I
Sam
want to
and
know if
Kate,
they
and then I
return.
got Sam and Kat. Kate Dunlap from the boys. Yeah.
Yes. And then, so yeah, those would be my two biggest questions. Like, how do you go beyond that? Are we going back to the college? Is it following Marie? Is it following a new person who kind of is seeing all these things for the first time? I don't know. I'd give it a four though. I'm pretty excited about the whole world that they've
Cool.
cultivated.
I can dig that. The other thing that we know will be coming out next year, but we don't have a definitive date for it, is Sandman season two. Plot details for the Sandman season two remain under wraps as Netflix keeps things tightly guarded. However, the season is expected to adapt volumes 4 and 5 of Neil Gaiman's graphic novel series, picking up where season one left off. In Season of Mist, Dream returns to Hell to confront Lucifer Morningstar, who unexpectedly decides to abdicate her throne, unleashing chaos as her demons are set free. The story also introduces more members of the Endless, including Destiny, Delirium, and the Prodigal. Showrunner Alan Heinberg has teased an expanded storyline, saying in the next chapter of The Sandman, the Dream will come face to face and go toe to toe with the formidable rulers of Hell, Asgard, Fairy Realm, and realms beyond. So, season one of Sandman was something that I felt like went underneath the radar, and I can't remember when I started it, and like the first episode, I wanted to like roll my eyes to the back of my head. I was like, I don't understand what any of this is, and it all seems very dense. I just wasn't in the mood for it. And I kind of like let it sit for a bit. And then I rewatched it and I got a bit further. And the more that I got into it, the more I absolutely loved it. This is like a top five series for me. Um, but it's because it's based on incredible comics. If you were to go into like Reddit or any other place where there's a forum about comics and you were to mention Neil Gaiman Sandman, this is like required reading for a lot of people. And it is not superhero stuff. The Sandman deals with Dream, who is and all of his family members who are members of the Endless. Things like envy, things like gluttony. Or is it gluttony? Something like along those lines. And the first season is about the fact that someone used dark magic to capture him, and all of his artifacts that he used are now borrowed against the world. When he breaks out, he now has to find his artifacts amongst the humans who have been using his artifacts for bad. And also, in the time that he's been gone, nightmares have taken over because the master of dreams, is gone. So it's about like building all that up. Patton Oswalt plays a talking raven. It's a whole thing. David Thewlis is in it. Um, there's a two-part. He's in it for like the whole like beginning arc, but there's a comic that is called one of the darkest comics in comic book history. It's called 24/7. It was written for Sandman by Neil Gaiman, and it's this idea that this man has a stone. He has the Dream Stone, the stone from Dream of the Endless, and he's using it. He's went into a diner, and he's basically effectively closed the diner down, and for 24 hours is using this stone to get people to do whatever he wants. So at one point he gets them all to be very salacious and sexual, and at one point he gets them to be all murderous and killing, and they have an episode based on that comic, and it is bonker stuff, absolutely bonker stuff. The funniest thing about it is, um, like they show Dream throughout time, they show death throughout time. There's an episode where Death walks around with Dream and explains that her job isn't laborious. If anything, she gets to be the last kind face someone sees as they transition over to the afterlife. And like he's trying to kind of make his mind around why he should even care about humanity, in the first place. So what's going on out there? But
Watch
yeah,
out.
but absolutely amazing series. The only thing is that Neil Gaiman currently is under hot fire. Supposedly he's also one of these guys that can't keep his hands to himself, and now recent news has come out that maybe he has not been the greatest towards women, and it's heartbreaking because this of how seminal this story is. So I know that they're working on season 2. I don't know how close they'll be referencing Gaiman himself on it. Which is so sad because, like I said, they casted um a beautiful, talented black woman as Death, and Death has always been depicted as a white gothic woman in the comics. And he went to great lengths to go to bat for her, and you want to think that somebody who has that sort of foresight is a good person, but
Yeah.
you can't always have these things work. So like taking him away from it, and I'm not huge on separating the art from the artist, but I really want this season to be good. I really like season 1, so I really want season 2 to be good. And I'll put that around a 4, what I'll say. And I would suggest for those who haven't checked it out, I absolutely not blamed. The whole first season is on Netflix. I would say give it a chance. It is some very, very cool and very dense stuff from there. And if he's now gonna fight like Asgardian stuff like that, at one point he has like a sort of like gas mask that he uses, and that gets co-opted by a demon, so he has to go to hell and ask Lucifer for the for the thing
For the mask.
for the mask, and Lucifer is played by Gwendolyn Christie.
Okay.
Yes, and so it's very cool. It's very avant garde. It's more ethereal. There's no lasers and fighting and MacGuffins and any of that kind of stuff. It's I feel like it's more otherworldly, and they do a tremendous job doing so. But yeah, I would say check that out if you haven't, and get ready for season.
Well, unfortunately for me, I'm one of those that haven't. This is one of those shows that's always, or not always, but lately it's been on my radar to watch,
Yeah.
and I've just never made the time. Um, Typically, it's just yeah, I got 1,000 excuses that I haven't watched it. But
No, no, it's dense.
at
So
the
I
end of the
mean, you got to
day,
be ready. You got
it
to be ready and willing, and have the time to sit down and actually take it all in. Yeah.
So for me, I would say I'm gonna give it a temporary 1. I'll go back and review. I'll watch all 10 episodes in a couple days, and then I'll post a comment on the link for this thing, and I will reevaluate my Sandman take.
I dig it. I
If
dig it. I'll be really looking forward to that. But that was the last sort of release date that I didn't have. What we'll be talking about now is all confirmed release dates, confirmed release projects that will be coming out from the various big wigs. Our first is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, coming out January 29th. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is an upcoming animated series created by Jeff Trammell for Disney Plus, diving into Peter Parker's origin story and his early days as Spider-Man. Set in an alternative timeline, Norman Osborn steps in as Peter Parker's mentor instead of Tony Stark. The series marks Marvel Studios' 12th TV venture in the MCU and comes from their animation division. Hudson Thames reprises his role as Peter Parker from What If, joined by a cast that includes Coleman Domingo, Eugene Bird, Zeno Robinson, and Charlie Cox, amongst others. The show's animation, crafted by Polygon Pictures, nods to the classic Amazing Spider-Man comic art style. Originally announced as Spider-Man Freshman Year in 2021, the series was renamed Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in 2023. It premieres on Disney Plus, as we said, January 29, 2025. Jeff Trammell shared that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man will dive into Peter Parker's life before becoming Spider-Man and the beginnings of that superhero journey. This time around, Peter's origins are tied to magic rather than science. He's bitten by a spider that falls out of a portal created by Doctor Strange during a battle with Venom. The
hmm.
show draws heavily from Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's early Spider-Man comics. Brad Winderbaum described the series as quintessentially Spider-Man, balancing Peter's struggles with high school, caring for Aunt May, and juggling his superhero duties. He also highlighted the rich ensemble cast, which sets up an intense, tragic, and high-stakes relationships throughout the first. So I think that this is going to be serviceable, but my excitement is a bit lessened, um, because I originally I was told that this was supposed to be taking place with our Tom Holland Peter Parker
Mhm.
before the events of Civil War, where Peter would meet him, and I'm sorry, Tony would meet him and give him a better suit. This is seemingly not tied to anything, which allows them to do whatever they want. But then it makes me wonder, what do they care to do in that time? My sort of off the wall statement take on this is I almost kind of wanted to see, because you've seen like his sort of like makeshift outfit and all that
Yeah.
stuff that we saw in the trailer actually dropped today for a bit of it. I think a series would be very interesting if it was about like a kid who found Spidey's stuff, right?
Like Sandman, but Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like if some dude found his web shooters and his mask and was like, "I'm gonna be Spider-Man and I'm gonna stream my adventures," and none of it's gonna go right, right? Obviously, because he doesn't know it, and maybe he's mistaken for Spider-Man by some of his big bads, and has to kind of go toe to toe with whatever. But maybe it's because I'm just so used to this story.
Yeah.
This is a Spider-Man for a brand new audience, for a brand new generation, and they get to have their own Spider-Man too. I think that's fair. But for an older sort of Spider-Man watcher, this isn't necessarily tickling my fancy. I have it at a 3. I still think it's fair. I think it's over the it's over the midpoint of excitement. But how are you feeling about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
I do think three is a really good number. One, I'm weird about animation unless it's immediately the most amazing thing, like amazing story to grab me. I find it really hard to get into animation at this point in my life. I love the suit they have and how it has the that has the web lines because he hasn't developed the web shooters yet. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of really fun things like just those little small things. The early suit kind of reminds me of the suit that Tobey Maguire wore and when he's
And his
the
wrestling.
human spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before he gets told that sucks. Um, so I like this one. I do love the idea that Norman Osborn becomes his mentor
Yeah.
as opposed to Tony Stark. I think that's a really fun spin on it.
But
Um,
I feel like we might think that that's fun because we've seen the same thing with Otto in
that's
Marvel
probably fair.
Spider-Man.
Like that's fair. Like I I would say the magic aspect of it is probably the most intriguing part
Yeah.
because Venom is already a person. If
Yes.
Doctor Strange is fighting Venom in our world, or is it a different strange and a
Well,
different Venom?
that's the funny thing. When you say portals, you that's leading me to believe that this spider that bites him may not be from here, which I think is an interesting aspect and an interesting way they could end up roping somebody like this into something like a bigger Spider Verse sort of film, or when they decide to bring all those guys over eventually,
Well, that's
maybe he can
also
hang out
kind
with
of how
them.
they did um, Miles Morales in Beyond the Spider-Verse, or
Yeah,
into the second one. It's literally a spider from a different universe that came through. I don't remember how.
no,
Through Kingpin meddling with the thing.
yeah, totally.
Um, so I don't know. I think it depends on where Venom and Doctor Strange are from, unless it's like a Marvel Rivals thing, and then like that's how we get it. No, which is fine.
Yeah, and I found out this stuff through interviews. I don't think we've seen any sort of promotional material that's outwardly explained that kind of stuff. So
Oh.
I wonder if they are going to, if that's something that they're, trying to keep under cover until they decide to kind of pop the lid on that stuff. But what are you giving it out of 5?
I'll go three. I'm intrigued, and hopefully it's fun enough where my kids can get into it too, and they can watch it like I watched the '90s one,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
'90s Spider-Man. Yeah.
Although this is that's a Marvel property, it's not an MCU property, but the MCU is going to have a big year this year, starting with Captain America: Brave New World coming out on Valentine's Day. Captain America: Brave New World is the next chapter in the MCU, focusing on Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, as the new Captain America, directed by Julius Ona, who co-wrote the script with Peter Glanz and Matthew Orton. The film marks the fourth installment of the Captain America series and the 35th MCU film overall. It's a direct continuation of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The story places Wilson at the center of an international crisis and features a star studded cast, including Danny Ramirez, Shira Haas, Carly Lumbly, Juan Carlo Esposito, Tim Blake Nelson, Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford is taking over the role of Thaddeus Ross from the late William Hurt. In this film, Ross is both the U.S. president and transforms into the Red Hulk. The project evolved from Falcon and the Winter Soldier with writers Malcolm Spellman and Alan Musan working on a script as early as April of 2021. Ona joined as director in 2022. The title was originally Captain America New World Order, if you guys remember. Filming began in March 2023 in Atlanta and Washington, D.C. Then the title changes to Brave New World during production. Additional material was written during reshoots that stretched it late into 2024. Still set to release on Valentine's Day. Marvel Studios' decision. Oh, the big thing that came across my desk, right, when it came to all this stuff, because they were constantly doing reshoots for this film. I think they are doing one right now, possibly like as close to this as possible. And what I keep hearing is that the production in general has been a bit muddled, given the various different reasons, right? The strikes, Kang, where this all universe is going in general. But another thing I had heard was that they were going to introduce the Israeli superhero Sabra, and Marvel that stirred controversy when they said that was going to happen, and a debate reignited with the release of the film's first trailer in July. Reportedly, Marvel has opted to distance the character from her Israeli origins, according to Daniel Rickman. Sabra's backstory has been reworked, removing references to her being from Israel. A scene where Sabra reveals to Sam Wilson that she is a mutant has also been cut. Instead, the character will now be portrayed as a powerless former Black Widow, just to avoid all the BS there.
That's fair.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson being in there is the confirmation that the leader is in this. This was Tim Blake Nelson played Samuel Stern in the Incredible Hulk film by Edward Norton, or that Edward Norton is in, and then he got hit with some like his blood on his forehead or whatever, and it's gonna
drip into his head. Yeah,
it's gonna make his head really big, and it's gonna make him really green. So I can't wait till we see him in this. Even through trailer footage, there doesn't seem to be like a straight line. I don't know what they're hiding, and I don't know exactly what's gonna go on with this. My anticipation is at a 4 because the last two Captain America movies were like god tier in Civil War and Winter Soldier, and I would really hate for this to be bad. I'm just very scared because it seems like production has been a mess on this, and I think the worst of the fan base will just point to a Black Captain America if this fails.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. Captain America has always been like a top 2, top 3 character for me. Every iteration, with the exception of Sean Walker, has been like the highest level of tier. I love Sam Wilson's character in the MCU. Anthony Mackie crushes it. I think I'm the one person that thoroughly loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I liked it. I felt like it got a little. I felt like it was playing a little bit with kid gloves at the end of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I dug it.
Also, like with the pandemic storyline that they definitely cut midway through, and you could tell there was definitely some editing to eliminate that because the pandemic we were going through at the time.
100%.
I wish we had gotten that version of the story, but again, people don't want to see what they're living in, so I understand. Yeah, the worst of us are gonna see Black Captain America and be like, this is it's only bad because they went woke, even though comics and Captain America punches Hitler like out the gate. So clearly there's a political side of it. Yeah. I'm anticipating Harrison Ford as Red Hulk being fun.
Okay.
I loved William Hurt. I think Harrison. I don't know. I feel like Harrison Ford's face and head kind of goes better with the Red Hulk as opposed to William Hurt's.
Yeah.
I do love how in the trailer out the gate he was like, I lost the mustache. Like that's the whole rationale of why he looks different. He just shaved.
Yeah. That's how I always would have looked if you would have took the mustache off.
That's the laziest, funniest way to do it, and I'm 100% here for it. But you're right. There doesn't seem to be a straight line through. I don't even know, based off what we're seeing in the trailer, where the leader comes in or where like the assassination attempt by Isaiah Bradley makes sense.
So I think that's also something that they're trying to keep on ice. Around the time when they were trying to promote this stuff, there was another assassination attempt that went on.
Yes, that's right.
And so we are led to believe, and again, like that's another sort of like God, like someone is going to use black veteran Isaiah Bradley to try to kill General Ross in this,
Hmm.
and he's then gonna be arrested, and then I guess maybe the movie is about clearing his name or whatever. I like the idea that after assassination attempt, I was gonna say hurt. Ross would look for like possibly something like gamma radiation as a means to like, ain't no one ever gonna, I'm never gonna be the assassinated president because push comes to shove, I'll just turn into the Hulk and do all that kind of stuff. So that's interesting. We already have um Ross saying things like "You're not Captain America" or "You're not Steve Rogers," so we're already gonna
Yeah.
have a bit of that narrative in there where people are not. That's we covered the Sam Wilson comic as part of the Major Issues podcast, and a big part of that was hashtag Not My Captain America. That a lot of people, like in universe, people were like, "That guy,
Oh,
no, screw that." They would they addressed it head on. That if he did too much, he would get blamed. If he did too little, he would get blamed.
yeah.
If he only stood up for black people, he would get blamed. But if he stood up for everybody else but black people, he would get blamed.
Yeah.
So they really definitely played around with all those themes in there. Are they bold enough to do it in film? We don't know, because I don't think Hollywood understands what the common man thinks is woke as opposed to what actually is. I don't think it
Yeah.
really matters, right? If the common man thinks there's two women on screen and that's woke, right? Like
Yeah.
like at what
They
point
had
do
a
we
half a
keep
second kiss.
yeah, at what point do
Woke.
we keep capitulating to those who are bad faith in general with all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff? So
Yeah. Those that scream the loudest at perceived uh slights against them.
and they're gonna pirate it.
Um,
They're not gonna get up and
mhm.
go to the movie theaters anyway.
Yeah.
They have no
Uh,
intention.
my one just to finish up on Cap, who again can't stress how much I love. I do love how Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it wasn't about him being Captain America to the world. It
Yeah,
was about him being Captain America to himself.
yeah.
And like that whole show was about him accepting that he's not Captain America, as opposed to the world accepting. So where we've gotten beyond that, now we have to convince the world.
Yeah, I can dig that as a bit of character evolution. Gotta imagine how big those shoes felt in the first episode. They were so big he gave the shoes away. Right?
Immediately out the
He was
gate.
like, these don't even fit me. Can somebody else, anybody else? And he was like, oh, not that guy.
I do
Whatever
hope we
he is,
get
he's
Bucky
not that
back.
guy.
I
Yeah,
do hope Bucky makes an appearance.
yeah.
It didn't have to be in all of it. Just give me one scene of him not moving his chair up. Like, and then that's enough. That's enough for me.
I can think of maybe you find out what the hell the power broker's doing. Get them nothing since we
Right?
got that
Yeah.
reveal. And
Yeah.
another thing that has been rumored is that they will be dealing with the Celestial in the ground.
Yes, I've seen that as well.
The idea is that possibly the Celestial is made of adamantium, or there are portions of it made of adamantium. And if it just juts out of the ocean, whose jurisdiction, who gets to plunder it? And General Ross is like, nah, screw that. It's gonna be
Yeah.
America and Cap,
United States got to get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I like that. I like that aspect as well.
It's a fun setup for maybe Wolverine.
Where would they have thought about like America going to some place for resources and just
Yeah. Weird. Is
bogarting?
it like imperialism or
I
something?
think
I don't know.
it's Avatar, bro. Or is it unobtainium?
Unobtainium. Yes.
Good work, guys. Good work. God. So yeah, we'll be going in practically blind to cover Captain America, but we're going straight up blind to cover Daredevil Born Again. When they did that segue not work? On March 4th, we're getting Daredevil Born Again, which brings Matt Murdock back to the MCU with Charlie Cox reprising his role. Initially planned as 18 episodes, a lighter tone Disney series, it was reworked in the late 2023 into a serialized 9-episode season, closely tied to the Netflix Daredevil show. I want to say this before I continue the rest of these notes. I never once believed that it was going to be a one season, 18-episode thing. I believe I've said several times that it's going to get split up into two. 18 episodes is such a weird episode count. It's not a weekly thing. It's not a weekly thing. I think
it's a lot.
Yeah, Netflix had 13, I think, which covers like maybe a quarter of the year, which makes sense, right? Like as far as like
Yeah.
the fall lineup, the spring lineup kind of stuff. 26 episodes means, every other week for their whole year. 18 didn't mean anything to me. So I was like, okay, they're going to do 2 a season. So that's kind of been greenlit. The cast includes Vincent D'Onofrio, John Bernthal, Deborah Ann Woll, and Eldon Henson. Filming began in March of 2023, paused due to the WGA strike, and wrapped in early April of 2024. A second season is already confirmed, with filming set for 2025. The series premieres on March 4th, 2025, as part of the MCU Phase 5. Additionally, Mohan Kapoor is set to appear, reprising his role as Yusuf Khan, father of Kamala Khan. Kamar de los Reyes is appearing as Hector Ayala, aka the White Tiger, and Lou Taylor Pucci, Pucci, is also on the cast as a mysterious role. But we also know that the character of Muse is set to be in it. So it's like, is he the mysterious role? Um, Daredevil Born Again sees Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer with extraordinary abilities, fight for justice through his thriving law practice, while ex-mob boss Wilson Fisk chases political power in New York. As their past resurfaces, their paths hurtle towards an unavoidable showdown. Full transparency, absolutely loved the Netflix series. I thought season 3 was a banger, an absolute banger. Some of the most gritty stuff in there. Like, I remember how they dealt with Bullseye's girlfriend.
Oh, I don't even remember.
They basically, like, it was not his girlfriend, it was the girl he was stalking. Remember, he was going to
okay,
stalking her
yes,
and
okay,
shit.
I do recall that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
never
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah. And then she's like just walking into a hallway on her house, and someone's just putting up tarp around her. And think, put it in the tarp, out the door, like crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Matt can't hear until he pushes all the blood and brains out of his nose
Mhm.
earlier on in that thing. Suffice to say, 5 out of 5 anticipation for me. I love this interpretation of the character. I love the score. I love that we got Punisher back, we got Karen back, we got Foggy back. We're getting Vincent D'Onofrio. I spend way too much time in my off time talking about my city and Vanessa. Vanessa. It's like, sir, this is a Wendy's. The Good Samaritan does. Like all that. I love all his stuff. Is Maya showing up? Are we getting a little bit of echo in this? I mean, it seems like that would be the
I hope
time.
so.
Now that he has 2 eyes and he doesn't have
Yeah.
the AI hologram ACL thing going on, it'd be interesting to see. But I gotta believe that everyone that was a part of this knew why the OG worked. And if they're trying
Mhm.
to resell it, I find this is going to be their Deadpool Wolverine, right? Where Deadpool Wolverine is the first Deadpool project under the MCU. Can they handle that character? And it feels like it was the same flavor. So, given this, hopefully they see what works with this. This is not something where they go, "How do we get Daredevil to work?" No, you did it. We figured it out.
Yeah.
Everyone's been pretty much on the same page. So yeah, 5 out of 5 as far as anticipation from me. But what are you thinking when it comes to the return of Daredevil to Marvel, and not only Marvel, but now full on in the MCU?
Yeah.
All this stuff will be canon. The overall scheme of everything happening in this universe.
5 out of 5. I do love the reintroduction to the Netflix universe, especially how it kind of always hinted at like the Battle of New York and the Avengers and all of that. Like I like how that will officially be canon, even if it's already not.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox crushes the role every time. I can't think of the guy's name that you just said. I love the guy that plays Foggy. I
Oh,
love Karen Page.
Eldon.
Yes, that guy.
Okay. Henson. Eldon
Yeah.
Henson.
Yes. John Bernthal's return as Punisher. Punisher is one of those characters that I think can be done. It's hard to do, but I don't think I can see anyone after Thomas Jane. I don't think I'd see anyone as good at Punisher. And then John Bernthal appeared, and I'm like, okay, like I love it. I know the actor for White Tiger recently passed away,
Oh, wow.
but I've also seen rumors that in the comics, or not rumors in the comics, I've seen rumors that essentially there will be a new White Tiger. And for those that follow the comics, the White Tiger's daughter becomes the third White Tiger, the third iteration.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's the one people are most familiar with. I think she's even appeared in some Spider-Man cartoons,
yeah,
like the one where he's in high school and Nick Fury's his principal or whatever, whichever one that is.
sounds great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
no, this is one of those shows that I mean, if it's even if it stays true itself or true to the Netflix series, I think will be amazing. it does if it if it follows that formula, kind of like you said, like Deadpool and Wolverine kind of followed the Deadpool formula, but it was definitely MCU flavor.
Yeah.
If this can do something similar with that dark grittiness of of the environment of everything we experienced in the Netflix version, there's no reason this shouldn't be. I would say maybe the second best piece of content we get this year.
Not only that, right? But if they can nail this landing, this signals that we are all grown adults and can deal with this kind of stuff. Maybe we get a Disney Plus Ghost Rider show. We start
Oh
delving into like the deeper,
Just the dark shit, yeah.
And you're listening to me, Marvel. I'm looking for Jessica Jones. Where my
Mhm.
girl at? Stop playing with me because I know you know. I just saw her in Sonic. Great film, by the way. Sonic 3, best Flash film to ever exist. so, so
Uh,
go check that out. But
she
yeah, man.
she's rumored to appear.
Yeah.
I will
Okay.
say I've seen rumors. There's a lot of rumors online,
Yeah.
but like I've seen rumors of
Like she's in the comics, she's
Kristen
best
Ritter.
friends with Captain Marvel. Like they sit
Yeah.
in New York City and have like lunch and talk about like, yeah, and I punched that Kree guy in the face, whatever. Are you still dating that guy? Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. And she went to school with Peter Parker in the comics, like canonically.
Jessica Jones did?
Yeah, just no one knew who.
Oh,
Like she wasn't
she's just
anything to
she's just a
be, and
person.
yeah, she was just a person, so it wasn't anything worth the damn
That's
there.
fun.
Um,
Um,
and if we were reboot, like if this is like a soft reboot, whatever, are people still alive? Can we see Purple Man? Like, is that a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are we
uh,
going with this? And I love how the Homeboy portrayed Bullseye. I love
oh, 100%.
that. Like they do the fight at the Google. No,
It was the law office, wasn't it?
no, it's in the wasn't
Oh,
it?
it's
It's in
the
the it's
it's
in the
it's
paper, but I can't remember
in
what
the
the name of the
paper.
paper was called.
It's not the Bugle. It doesn't
Hell's
matter.
Kitchen's
Yeah,
the kitchen
times.
update. Yeah, the counter. Call it the kitchen counter. so yeah, he like that's like a horrific scene of him using like memo pads and
He
pencils.
bounces a pair of scissors off to hit him in like the calf, and it's like, jeez, like that
So
would
good.
suck so bad. Like,
Yeah, that's so good. And the last thing I wanted to say is not even anything on the show. Is why I like Bernthal's Punisher. Bernthal's Punisher, and there's a little bit of this in D'Onofrio's Wilson. He's able to portray a man who is a living embodiment of a boiling pot. You can feel the lid at all times, and it's his mannerisms. He's always darting his eyes around as if he's still looking around to see if there's any threats. He's always fidgeting and moving around, like when he's the most angry or he's the most. He's a man that feels like he's on a hair trigger, and
yes.
he should feel that way. He should feel that dangerous and that kind of like at any minute he can snap. And I think that he did a great job in this. I'll be interested to see if like what his introduction is because we are getting this is Matt Murdock in the MCU, but we already got we got him in
Mhm.
Spider-Man and we got him in She-Hulk. So everybody else is kind of getting a fresh coat of paint. Even Wilson Fisk was in Hawkeye and then in Echo. So Punisher is the black sheep in all this. Do we get a complete redo over, or is it like, hey, Red, and going, with your knowledge of it, and
Start
you kind of
fresh.
just that. So I think
Also, the dark and gritty. It means we also might get the return of the Luke Cage crime syndicate,
oh my
which I
gosh,
personally I think I was the like one of 7 people who was like, hell yeah, let's see the hero become the bad guy
I,
for the
I'll
sake of controlling the bad guys.
I'll do a slight a slight tangent on that because there's a comic book series called Shadowlands. In Shadowlands, Daredevil decides that he is going to be in charge of the Hand because at least if he's in charge of the Hand, then nothing the Hand will do will be bad. Unbeknownst to him, I can't remember who exactly did it, but they did some sort of weird magic thing to possess him with the demon that they sort of pray to. And so
Yeah.
little by little, he starts becoming more and more villainous. At one point, spoiler alert, he kills Bullseye. And all of New York is set with those Japanese feudal Japanese sort of roofs, the shingled roofs and
Yeah.
stuff. And so like the New York heroes get together and like, do we have to stop Matt? Like, do we have to? Like, I think Matt's gotten a little bit crazy, and just taking like that is the fantastical version of that story. But Luke Cage set up a very perfect practical. version of that
Mhm.
story. Do the defenders have to come back and get Luke because Luke is too far in, thinking that he's the one with his finger in the dike or whatever. So very interesting stuff, and that's all stuff they can play into. I want to see Luke Cage meet Dan Wilson. You know what I'm saying? I want to see that conversation go down. You know, I want these characters to exist so that they can meet each other. Could you imagine like a Yelena and Jessica Jones conversation? Like they'd both be so
Oh.
over everything.
But
um,
Yelena she would be over it, but she would somehow be positive.
yeah.
And Jessica would just be like, ugh.
So
You could hear the
so they pay you to do this? Take pictures? It's so good. Speaking of Yelena Belova, next up is Thunderbolts Asterisk, coming out on May 2nd. Thunderbolts is an upcoming Marvel Studios film centering on a team of anti-heroes undertaking government missions. Directed by Jake Shearer, with a script by Eric Pearson, Lee Sung Jin, and Joanna Callow. The movie features Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Julia Louis Dreyfus, and more in its ensemble cast. Teased within the MCU since 2021, the film entered development in mid 2022 with its cast finalized in early 2023. Delays from the Hollywood labor disputes led to recasting and rewrites in early 2024. I don't know if you remember this, but initially Stephen Young was set to play Bob in this.
yes.
He was replaced by Lewis Pullman. So it's set to release on May 2nd of 2025, and it's supposed to close out Phase 5 of the MCU. Though not officially confirmed, Lewis Pullman's character Bob is widely speculated to be the Sentry, a Superman-like Marvel hero with a dark side. The first Thunderbolts trailer hints at this, showing a modernized version of Sentry's belt and Bob wearing hospital scrubs with bullet holes, teasing his MCU debut. In the comics, Robert Reynolds, aka the Sentry, gains his power from the Golden Sentry Serum, an enhanced version of the Super Soldier Serum that gave Captain America his abilities. And we know that they're going to be messing with some sort of serum in Brave New World, so who knows where this ends up here. Asa, this film is my dark horse. I think this film is going to be amazing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I think the comic media and genre as a whole is taking itself too seriously. Maybe it's a
Hmm.
little bit of that. And I know that this is gonna have some genuine laughs. I think David Harbour's Red Guardian is downright hilarious. Everything he does, everything he does, and everything he says. I love the idea that we're poking fun still at John Walker's cap. Like I love that we're still like, come on, bro. And we get it. You tried. It was cute. You tried. I like Florence Pugh, and I like Yelena. I like Bucky. The idea of Bucky and Yelena having conversations, both used by the Russian military to sort of, to their own ends, actual attack dogs from that country, or that were used by that country, and then the Sentry. There's an image of people of the Thunderbolts looking up in horror, and people are believing that it is a very prominent Sentry comic book panel where he rips somebody in half. He literally
Oh,
takes a head and
that
a
could be fun.
leg and rips them in half, and it's covered in the intro. Some people are suggesting this might be Ghost. I think if it is, I don't think anyone's gonna bat an eye. Or
I forgot Ghost
Taskmaster,
was in it.
or Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with those ladies, but those characters I wouldn't say are necessary. Um, so with the idea of what it is, I'd watch these actors in these roles do anything. Honestly,
Hmm.
like put them all in a Volkswagen where they're all uncomfortable and have them on the road for 8 hours. I would listen and watch that. That's how down I am for this. Add in Sentry, which I think is one of the most meta, kind of crazy characters that Marvel's ever created. This idea that they create this character in 2000s, and the big thing hinging on this character is that he's always existed. He's just been erased from all of our minds and his own mind, because if he realizes this, he might become too powerful and then let his evil alter ego, the Void, which is downright unstoppable, destroy the entire world. Um, I think that's meta as hell, and I also think
Yes.
it's metal as hell. Um, and to have somebody like that of that regard in the MCU is super interesting. And this also feels more so than even Cap. And maybe I'm not giving Cap enough credit, but this feels like a forward step with the work we've already been doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this feels like the universe is finally moving forward. For a very long time, it felt like all these projects were in a line. Like we were getting ready to start driving. This is the first thing that feels like, okay, we did Black Widow and we did, the other films that have these other characters in it, Falcon Winter Soldier with Bucky and stuff. Now we're ready to go to the next thing, with DeFontaine, the Countess, and seemingly she's bought an Avengers Tower now. So like all that stuff and more. Super interested in this. Think it's gonna be great. 5 out of 5 as far as anticipation. I might be eating a lot of crow in 6 months, but we will see. Because I am absolutely, I'm digging it. And then I saw the trailer, and I think it was like, "Where is my mind?" or whatever. So very,
yeah.
very
I love the
playful,
Pixies.
very,
Yes.
very playful,
Especially for the Century. Like,
dark at moments. And yeah, I'm really digging it. What are you thinking?
this is my 4 out of 5 movie. It set up to me very much like and I mean this in with all respect to the MCU and
Yeah,
to the former DCEU. This reminds me of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in
I
the
don't think you'd
sense
be
of
wrong.
it feels like a bunch of characters who are kind of characters realistically we could all just move on from. But like I love the return of all these characters. David Harbour's Red Guardian's a lot of fun. I hope we get a reference to the Crimson Dynamo, just personally.
Yeah. You think
You'll
he'll keep telling people that he beat Captain America?
I think I beat now I'll be able to say beat the U.S. agent.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh, I think there's a lot of fun things it could happen. And then with so far we've seen with like Phase 4 and seemingly parts of Phase 5, where it's been like, how are we going to recover from the blip? Like,
Yeah.
how do we go forward? This does feel like the kind of like you said. This movie feels like the movie that takes all those feelings and goes, okay, all of this is how we felt. This is where we're going now.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Sentry definitely. I hope he's the villain, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
He would be such a fun villain. Yeah, you probably do lose, like, Taskmaster probably makes the most sense, being the least special one.
I don't even think she can
Um,
speak.
yeah, I don't
So I
know.
mean, if you got rid of her, I don't think it'd be too much of a
And then
thing
my
there.
only issue with the Taskmaster was the programming. It's not the reflective or fighting
A
sight or whatever.
photogenic sort of, yeah,
Photogenic
memory,
muscle, yeah.
memory. Yeah, yeah,
It,
yeah.
that's my only issue. Anyone that is mad about it, can be mad. But
Yeah.
um,
No,
yeah,
you're
I
right.
think
I was kind of hoping that someone would find the suit. I was hoping that Anthony Masters would be in this film as Taskmaster.
that would be fun
But
too.
your idea of making Sentry the out and out villain would allow them to then put a line in the sand and say that, yeah, sure, these guys are all bad, but this guy's worse, which is a classic, right? Sort of like bad by comparison. They can all kind of be left off the hook if Sentry racks up a bunch of bodies in this and has to get put down.
Yeah. But here's my fun that I've thought of this on my own. I didn't see this online anywhere, so you've heard it here first. Kevin Feige said the asterisk is the most important thing. The
Yes,
asterisk is important, but we don't know why. Final shot. We're the Thunderbolts. No, we're the Dark Avengers. And then it changes, and that's how it ends. It ends
I
with
can see
the
that.
Thunderbolts font going Dark Avengers,
I
and
can
then
see
that's
that.
how we end.
Yeah,
That's
it's
my
almost like a placeholder name until we get something
yes.
bigger. Um, I I wonder if they'll just go Avengers. Wonder if they have the balls. Because I mean, would they call themselves the Dark Avengers? I feel like oh, their Fontaine is like, no, you guys are just the Avengers.
I think like maybe Bucky.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, I don't
Well,
like that. That's too clean.
like
I hung out with those guys. They don't even drink. I want
no,
a
yeah,
little bit of a
you're
dark
probably
Avengers.
right. Like Avengers probably makes more sense. Like, oh, we're the new Avengers.
They'd be like, what?
Um,
And then
yeah,
it cuts out. Ladies
boom,
and
new
gentlemen, the
Avengers.
new Avengers. The new Avengers. And then they all go,
Yeah,
what the? And then
that I think that'd be a lot of fun. No, it's gonna be fun.
and
I'm
Bucky,
really
and
excited for
somewhere in
it.
the trailer, Bucky's kind of like either
He's a
turns on the
badass.
team or doesn't agree with what the team is doing. What do you think is going on there?
With that, I think he's the attack dog, but now he's doing it for America.
Do you think he's
He's
being
because he
programmed, or do you think it's one of those things where he's like, they're like, no, we need to save Bob, and he's like, Bob will kill us all. You know what I'm saying? Is it one of those things where he's like,
yeah,
he sees so black and white, like,
yeah.
no, in war we neutralize the enemy, and that guy who's killing everybody is the enemy. No, he's been experimented on. I mean, if anyone, Elena would sympathize, right? She's
Hmm.
been turned into a weapon, and Bucky's like, "Well, I have to," and sometimes you got to put them down, kind of
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
I wonder what the schism is between the team.
I do like the how once they're finally all in the room, it's only in the trailer, so this could be 2 hours into the film.
Yeah, that's
How
true,
they're
right?
all clearly just fighting each other
Yeah.
just for no reason.
Well,
Uh,
it was alluded that they are all going to be given a mission without any of them knowing that the others have been given that same mission. So they all
oh,
end
that's
up at the
fun.
same spot, ready to do a job, and then they bump into each other and go, "Who the hell is this? Why is this person here?" And then
If
a little
do
meet
you
cute of shooting
remember?
each other in the face.
Do you remember in Winter Soldier how like at the beginning they infiltrate the ship or whatever, and then Black Widow's doing the thing, and he's like, it's about compartmentalization.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is true compartmentalization.
No,
Everyone's
totally,
doing that, so that could be fun. That'd be a
totally,
fun callback to
totally.
Nick Fury too.
And I think it, and like again, I know this sounds crazy, but it might just be fun. Like I'm wanting to have fun. Sometimes when I get into the weeds of this comic book stuff, it's so dour and and people are so angry online in general. I kind of just want a little bit of mindless fun. And I just reappraised the Suicide Squad. That film is kind of amazing,
It
especially
holds
when you,
up so well.
especially in comparison to everything else that came out of that studio. It's almost a you're like, where's Milton? Milton was with us the whole time. It was a Milton. Like,
Yeah,
all that stuff. What you your name is letters. Everyone's name is letters. Like
yeah.
all that stuff.
All the Suicide showed me was that the Feige and the MCU proper really screwed up when they let James Gunn go because he is amazing. He knows how to, and I should have waited for this segue now because it's better later.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
coming up.
how they just screwed up losing James Gunn. That's all it showed me.
Yeah.
And that everything he's done comic book wise has, I think it's all. I don't think he's had a miss yet.
I don't think so personally. I've never seen Super though. I gotta see Super. I haven't seen.
Super.
We might put that on the schedule. That's his like sort of dark comedy superhero film starring Rainn Wilson.
Okay, yeah, okay. I have seen it. It's not bad.
Not bad.
It's fun. It's all
Yeah,
right. I mean,
yeah.
it's what you expect it to
And
be.
that's like one of his first ones. Then he ends up doing the Guardian series, ends up doing
Hmm.
the Suicide Squad, ends up doing Peacemaker. So I think, yeah, I think enough has come out of that studio for most people to not really bat an eye over what he's gonna
Yeah, I trust him.
do. But do you trust Ironheart when it drops on June 24th? Ironheart is an upcoming Disney Plus miniseries based on the Marvel Comics character Riri Williams, created by Chanika Hodge. It will be the 14th MCU series produced by Marvel Studios and Proximity Media, and will tie into the broader MCU films. Hodge serves as head writer. Dominique Thorne reprises her role as Riri Williams slash Ironheart following her appearance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She stars alongside Anthony Ramos, Lyric Ross, and Alden Alden Ironreich. You know that dude, the dude from Solo. Alden Ironreich. Additionally, Jim Rash is coming back, baby, as the dean of MIT. Remember, he had the self-cooking hot dog idea.
Yeah, yeah, that one scene. Yeah, no.
Dean Aline. He's gonna play the dean, baby. Let's go. Shea Collet stars as Slug with Harper Anthony, Zoe Tarex, Reagan Alia, Sharika Barrera, Rashida Olewola, Sonia Dennis, Paul Calderon, Bree Summer, and Sacha Baron Cohen. All cast in
Hmm.
undisclosed roles. As you know, Sacha was rumored to be playing Mephisto. Not gotten anything as far as like sets, trailers, anything on that. It still could be like a red herring, but it'll be very interesting to see if they show them in this. The series was announced in December 2020 with Thorne cast soon after, and production started in June of 2022. The series will have 6 episodes and it will conclude Phase 5 of the MCU. After the events of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, MIT student Riri Williams returns to Chicago only to find herself caught up with the mysterious Parker Robbins, aka the Hood. Robbins serves as an ally of Riri Williams, who wears a hood that grants him access to dark arts and magic. Anthony Ramos described Robbins as a complex misfit who aims to prove that society's outcasts will rise to the top. Robbins hails from Chicago's Humboldt Park, raised by his mother, who is involved in the Puerto Rican street gang turned activist group, the Young Lords. As Riri uncovers secrets that clash technology with magic, Riri is thrust into a dangerous and adventurous journey. So this has the same sort of anticipation for me as the Spider-Man thing. I feel like um I feel like while I like Dominic Thorne and I think this could be interesting, it's probably been the poorest marketed
Hmm.
of all this stuff. I don't think they know the slant that they want to sell this at yet. And it'll be interesting to see how this series itself finds its footing. Um I thought, like I said, I thought she was a cool character in this. The best I've seen her in is in the What If episode. She was in a recent What If episode, and I thought they did a very good job on that. I'm going 3 out of 5 here. Hopefully, Anthony Ramos represents for us Puerto Ricans, but I do think that he is a means to an end. He's using dark magic, and the idea is that Mephisto is let in here. Maybe he lets him out, and thus we deal
Yeah.
with the ramifications of that. But I also like the idea of magic versus technology. And that's pretty fun.
That's kind of where I fall. This is as low as a 2 for me, 2 out of 5. I only because I know, and as someone that follows comic media way more than the average person should, I know almost nothing about this. Um, and also go so far as to say if Sacha Baron Cohen is not Mephisto, this would quickly become a 1. Like
I can see it.
because well, Sacha Baron Cohen's a terrifyingly, hilariously crazy individual,
Yeah,
and I think you would need someone like that to play someone like Mephisto.
makes sense.
But back this is back to I guess back to the original point was technology versus magic is really really fun, especially when you like hear someone like Thor talk about it, and he's like, "Magic's just science that hasn't been discovered yet," and it's
Yeah.
just like that's weirdly smart, like in its own dumb way.
I
So yeah,
remember
this
in
is
I think it was in some movie where Martin Lawrence goes back in time and he pulls out a lighter. Like
oh black it was Black
magician,
Knight.
and he's like magician. And it's like, oh,
Black
it's
Knight.
literally science. You just don't understand it. So yeah, might as well be magic.
Yeah, so yeah, 2 out of 5. And I feel like I'm not being too mean.
No, I don't think you are, and I think setting that standard there can only help it rise. If you set it
For
too
sure.
high, you could definitely let it drop.
Yeah, Thunderbolt and Captain America could break my heart. If it's a 2, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's like, oh, I won't watch it again, but it was worth the watch. If
100%.
it's a 1, that's when it's bad.
Like I said, and I do think hinging it on the technology magic thing could be pretty interesting. What about the magic of nostalgia, Asa? What about the magic of believing a man can fly? Because on July 11th, we are getting Superman, the first Superman titled Superman film in what 50 years, something like that, around there.
Hmm.
Carry the one. Superman is an upcoming superhero film from DC Studios, kicking off the DC universe and rebooting the Superman film series. Written and directed by James Gunn, the film stars David Corenswet as Clark Kent / Superman, with a supporting cast including Rachel Brosnan, Nicholas Hoult, and Eddie Fiji. Also appearing in Superman are Terrence Rosemore as Luthor's henchman Otis, Beck Bennett as Daily Planet reporter Steve Lombard, Michaela Hoover as columnist Kat Grant, and Christopher McDonald as a reporter Ron Troop. Frank Grillo returns as Argus leader Rick Flag Sr. from the animated Creature Commando series. Sean Gunn is expected to appear as businessman Maxwell Lord. And Millie Alcock is supposed to make a cameo as Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. The film's version of Lord, as Sean Gunn mentioned, will differ from past portrayals, including the Supergirl from Arrowverse and Pedro Pascal's in Wonder Woman 1984. The ABC News correspondent Will Reeve, the son of late Christopher Reeve, will cameo as a news reporter as well. Clark's superpowered dog Crypto, described by Gunn as a not-so-good good boy, and the robot Kelex will also make appearances. Development for a Superman sequel to Man of Steel began in 2014, but plans shifted after Justice League in 2017. Gunn started working with the new Superman film in August of 2022 as he became co-CEO of DC Studios later that year. The film's title, Superman Legacy, was announced in January 2023, with Gunn confirmed to direct. Production began in February of 2024, mainly in Georgia and Ohio, with filming wrapping in July. Superman is set to release on July 11th of 2025 as the first film of DCU's Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. It draws inspiration from the All-Star Superman comic by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly, and the story explores Superman's journey to reconcile his alien heritage with his human. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. I have spilled a lot of digital ink in defense of this movie's existence. I feel like there are way too many people sort of hung up on what the past of this character was, which is kind of ironic because the main criticism levied against this one is that it's too nostalgic. So I don't know where we're supposed to go from here. I went through this character holds a very special place in my heart because when I started this, I did not understand him for the life of me. And I almost avoided him because he just felt so one note in my mind. But what I learned is I felt the way I felt about Superman the same way I felt about Captain America pre MCU. It wasn't until the MCU kind of fleshed out that character in a way that made him interesting that made me want to then go back and read comics and realize that the character is interesting. But I felt like once I started Comic Book Click and started reading more Superman comics, and then we were blessed with Superman and Lois, and even I would even say more so the Flash. The CW version of the Flash made me realize how good a cool Superman film can be because Barry Allen is a goody two shoes, very
Mhm.
much so in that he's always trying to just do the right thing. As a matter of fact, they were the world's finest. It was Ali was Batman, and Flash was Superman. He was the optimistic person, and he was the one always trying to, do better every day, kind of stuff. We need a good Superman movie. I think, in general, I think the message has been so muddied in the last 20 years. I don't think necessarily Returns or Man of Steel hit the mark that it was supposed to. And what's worse, Man of Steel has led people to believe that that's the only version of Superman that deserves to exist. That's a bad lesson to learn from any of this. I think that Snyder's world is a unique one and one that we can still value, but it doesn't have to be the only one. And I really am behind this. I felt for a raccoon and I felt for a shark and I felt for a tree. He's made me feel in moments that I never thought I would. So why wouldn't he kill this? The fact that this is his first DCU project, and the fact that he's like, and I'm not letting anyone else touch it. Right, this has
Mhm.
him all over it. If this fails, it's him. He wrote and
Mhm.
directed this and casted it. And it's his first step in his universe. The fact that he's willing to put his name on it, as badly as he is, the fact that he went made the Suicide Squad, came back, made Guardians 3, and then went back over and made Peacemaker, and they were all good. Like again,
Mhm.
this guy's got my full confidence in this, and I got Crypto, and he's the greatest. Tremendous. I hear the main thing is like, oh, there's way too many characters in this, but my argument to that is the DC universe has so many characters. And for
Yeah.
so long, we did nothing but Superman and Batman, and even then kept that whole thing to like a city block. You know, consider the fact right now. If you close your eyes, consider what the Bat family is. Now consider which of those characters have been portrayed in live action, in film.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson, and not even Barbara Gordon, Barbara Pennyworth,
Yeah.
because she was
Yeah.
Alfred's niece.
The other niece,
We've
yeah.
not cracked the surface of any of this stuff because we only do origin stuff. So the idea that James Gunn on the first film is establishing the world has me excited because now
Mhm.
we're not playing in a weird cardboard world where people only exist to serve the plot. People are doing things in the background. What the hell is Hawk Girl been up to this whole entire time? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's Mr. Terrific up to? And we can dive into any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. I know they're gonna kill it. But what do you have on your mind in regards to Superman?
5 out of 5. I think you said it all best. I don't think everything I say would just be reiterating your point. James Gunn, like I just said no more than 3 or 4 minutes ago, I trust him to do anything he does. The fact that he's willing to carry it solely himself, take the full brunt of it, is should tell us how great the movie should be.
Yeah,
I think Superman's also a really hard character to portray, a person who essentially is immortal and every or can't be killed by just the traditional bullets or anything, and is objectively consistently positive. And I think there's a lot of I think it's a really hard character to do. And I will say I enjoyed uh Cavill's role for what it was.
Yeah.
I like dark and gritty, but I don't think Superman's a dark and gritty character unless you're really going kind of more toward that the
Injustice.
in injustice, thank you. Unless you're kind of gearing toward that.
Which we were
Um
like teasing in the second movie.
yeah, no, and I'm fine with that. If that's where we want to go. Let's go.
Right, right,
I'm on the roller coaster with you. But don't edge that.
right.
Brandon Ruth.
Yeah.
I thought he looked like Superman, but the movie wasn't good. The new guy who I have never heard of.
Which is
Uh,
always
I'm
great, right?
official. I'm officially to the age where when they say this person is this as a character, I'm like, I don't know who that actor is.
Yeah.
So it definitely brings a whole new like, oh, everybody's new to me. I love this. Um, he, if you told me it was a different character with Superman and Clark Kent, I would believe you because it looks that much different. Anyone mad about Crypto, get bent. It's a gorgeous little puppy. I don't care what people say. It's also based off of a dog that James Gunn rescued.
Yeah.
So be mad. Um, I like that we're getting Nathan Fillion as the
Guy
asshole
Gardner.
Green
Yeah,
Lantern.
yeah.
Yes, I
Who
love it.
famously gets punched in the face by Batman. That's like one of his most biggest storylines is he talks so much shit that Batman punches him with one punch and knocks him out. And everyone, I think it's somebody on the sidelines, I think it's Blue Beetle, is like, one punch. Like,
Yeah.
very funny.
No, this movie's gonna be great. I love that where he's just building the world, and if you don't know the character, you will or you won't. Whatever. Read some comic books or don't. Just watch the movie for what it is. I'm interested how they do Mr. Terrific because I didn't love the Mr. Terrific from the Arrowverse, and I can't think of any other
No, I
form
think
of
that's the only,
physical
yeah.
media he's in.
He's been in like Justice League Unlimited, but I think the most you would have seen him is in the Arrowverse. And I also think that like, um, it James Gunn has to be unflinching in the optimism of this film, regardless of
Mhm.
how he thinks society will take it. I don't think society should be the arbiter of the tone of this film. I think Superman needs to set the standard, and we will fall. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As opposed to us going, well, he should be. I'm a shitty person, so he should be a shitty person. No,
Yeah.
no, no. He is the like, and that's what I love about the Superman character. He is trying to be what he envisions as a good human. Every day, he's trying to do that, and in the midst of that, he's also helping humans.
Mhm.
But he doesn't want to rule us, and he doesn't want to be above us. He wants to be among us, and he wants to be the best among us. It's a take on the immigrant story about how some immigrants are better Americans than the Americans that are born here, kind of stuff.
Man, I wasn't gonna say it outright, but I was definitely gonna hint at it. You
You
just went right into it.
Nah, I mean, that's how I feel. I had CBC had a shirt. I think they took it down where it was Christopher Reeve, and over his eye it said illegal alien because that's what he is. Everyone
Yeah.
considers him Superman as an American hero, and that's fine. But understand that
Yeah.
if he was, if you checked his green card or whatever, your ass would have been trying to kick his ass out because he doesn't belong here, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You understand? There's not a wall big enough for Krypton, but you get what I'm saying? He wouldn't
Yeah.
have been
No,
let in.
it's
He wouldn't have been let in here. And I think there's something so valuable about that lesson. You don't have to be from somewhere to want to be the best of it, and you can be a part of it and help other people become great. And you were talking about before about his immortality, I think the Superman character's biggest, people will say Batman's actual power is willpower. That's like what, and I would say that.
no, it's money.
And I would say when it comes to Superman, if we're going to talk about like in those sort of platitudes, Superman's biggest power is his restraint. And we've already seen a modicum of that in the trailer with him getting a can thrown at him. So this is what needs to be portrayed: patience for humanity and restraint. And you cannot get any more patient than if you have rescued an animal. If you've ever rescued an animal or seen somebody with a rescue animal, it takes a ton of patience. Whereas other animals are born to love, rescue animals have been punished for doing so. So you have to earn their obedience and earn their love. And it's something that Superman will be doing with crypto and humanity at the same time. And it's right there. And yeah, I've said a lot, but yes,
No, yeah,
I love it, and I think it's gonna
5 out
be.
of 5.
I think
That's
it's gonna
it.
be amazing. But sharing the same month, what world do we live in? sharing the
We're so lucky.
sharing the same. I might not live past July. Sharing the same month with Superman is the Fantastic Four: First Steps, which comes out on July 25th. Fantastic Four: First Steps is an upcoming superhero film based on Marvel's Fantastic Four, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios. It will be the 37th film in the MCU and the second reboot of the franchise. Directed by Matt Shackman, the film's screenplay is written by Jeff Kaplan, Ian Springer, Josh Fieldman, Cameron Squires, Eric Pearson, and Peter Cameron. The ensemble cast includes Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Moss Bacharach as the Fantastic Four, along with Ralph Ineson, who's supposed to be playing Galactus, Julia Garner, who's supposed to be playing his Harold, the Silver Surfer, Paul Walter Hauser, John Malkovich, Natasha Lyonne, and Sarah Niles are in undisclosed roles. I am terrified because Natasha Lyonne just made her debut in MCU a couple days ago, playing the daughter of Howard the Duck and Darcy.
Birdie.
Yes. And I don't know if she's going to be Birdie in this. I feel like if they're doing multiversal stuff, Birdie might just pop up in this, so we don't know yet, but we'll see. The team must protect.
Oh, her. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, I know that name, but I don't know the face. Okay, I know it now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I always think American Pie.
Yep.
So the team must protect their Earth, a 1960s inspired retro futuristic world, from the cosmic being Galactus. Boom, boom, boom. After Walt Disney acquired Fox in 2019, Marvel Studios announced the F4 film in July of that year. John Watts was originally set as director. I don't know if you remember this. John Watts was the guy who did the Spider-Man films.
He did the first two Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, and then in the second Spider-Man film, there was like supposed to be like a tease in the background that said like 1, 2, 3, then a question mark because it was before and Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's
whatever.
fun. I don't recall that, but I'll look for it next time.
When he's whipping at the end with MJ, eventually to get to the Mysterio reveal, where Mysterio says that he's Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yes.
Around that scene. Shackman, Shackman ended up replacing John Watts. By early 2023, casting began, and Friedman was brought in to rewrite this film's script. The film aims to tell a fresh story rather than retelling the origin. Filming is scheduled from July to November 2024 at Pinewood Studios. And it's supposed to be the first film in Phase 6 of the MCU. This is a highly anticipated film for me, 5 out of 5. I think Fantastic Four is similar to Superman because they are so old. People think that they're one note, and I would say they are two of the most misunderstood franchises comic books have. Fantastic Four are not superheroes in the way that we think of superheroes. They are explorers. They are Johnny Quest. And of course, if you watch Johnny Quest, there's always a part where Johnny has to fight, or Ray's Bannon has to pull out the gat, and we got to figure out what's going on. We got to figure out what's going on here, and that's basically what it is. They get themselves into trouble by exploring all the time. They end up in corners of the universe or dimensions that they possibly shouldn't, and how the heck they're gonna get out is a lot of that. A lot of it is the family aspect, and that's what's the most interesting part about this. Kevin Feige emphasized that family dynamics would be central to this film, and he said that 90% of the work was already done by confirming the first cast, confirming the cast, those four. So he must feel something in there that makes him, feeling all good, warm inside. And I can't wait to see what that is. I really think that the family aspect of this is really what sings through. I was from Yogi, comic book click correspondent. He recommended me a comic, Fantastic Four run by Jonathan Hickman, who's now everyone is talking about him, but at the time he was quietly making Fantastic Four amazing. He's the one who gives us the Council of Reeds, which eventually gets kind of aped to be the Council of Ricks in Rick and Morty. But the idea that these super geniuses have all discovered interdimensional travel and thus have a citadel of them and how they're going to rule the world and stuff like that. It deals with all that stuff. The children, right? Valeria and Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards being such a genius and having otherworldly powers that he can create a pocket universe in his closet, and that's where he
Hmm.
plays with. He plays with imaginary, but these things can be corporeal and attack the Earth if need be. Franklin has already been teased to be introduced into this with the idea that if they have a baby at the end of this, that baby would then take his first steps. So we have, a little bit playing with the title there, because you can think of like one small step for man could be what they're talking about here, but no, it might just be baby steps, and baby steps for this entire franchise to be reintroduced to a whole new fan base, updated. I like everyone involved. Vanessa Kirby's awesome. Joseph Quinn's awesome. Ebon Moss Baccarat, I fucking love in the bear. He's great. And then Pedro Pascal can't seemingly do anything wrong. It'll be interesting to see if he has any sort of accent with with Reed
Yeah.
Richards, Reed Ricardo. But I am super down. But I think very similar to Superman, they have to get this right. There
Hmm.
has been so much wrong in the world of this IP and this franchise that I could see an entire fan base kind of just shrugging. I am dying to see what the I'm dying to see what the promotional material looks like after this. We've still not gotten a out and out trailer.
No, it's all been just pictures.
Yeah, and they've done some like uh hodgepodge trailer stuff for like D23 or
Yeah.
stuff like that we've kind of seen pirated around, but they are ultimately going to have to sell this in 2 minutes, the entirety of it. And I'm very excited to see how they do that, because it can make or break those who want to see this film, especially if they are fighting for real estate with the oldest superhero in the world.
Yeah, that's a tough. I think it's good they're coming out like 3 weeks apart.
Yeah.
That way Superman can kind of come in and take over, and they're just it's like almost like Marvel's like, okay, you can have the first half of July, first half of the year, that's you. We'll take over in August, and it'll be us.
Yeah.
Everyone wins here.
Yeah.
No, this is one of those where this is one of the few, I would say, properties I know almost nothing about, and that's kind of been by choice. Most of my experience with the Fantastic Four is either through video games or from the Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis movies from what the early aughts.
Doesn't it feel
Um,
weird though, with all the time you spent on this earth, that they are still a blind spot? Like they're the first
yeah,
Marvel creation before the
and
X Men,
they're
before Spider Man. It
yeah,
was
like they're
them.
huge. They're just it's one of those things where like and now that like once they announced it, my first inclination was to go back and read a bunch. And then I was like, no, no, no. Go in blind,
Yeah, yeah,
read
yeah.
afterwards.
Oh,
Like
totally,
go in
totally,
that way you can just kind of experience the world for what Marvel wants it or for what the MCU wants it to be,
100.
as
percent
opposed to for what you want it to be or what you think it should be. I do love the idea if like that they're like spacefaring with just baby Franklin Richards who's like 3 years old.
Right, right,
That's a
right.
really weird concept to me.
Yeah.
And then if she's pregnant with Valeria, that's also fun, especially when you have the Doom Valeria
Oh, I
uh
always love that
thing
stuff. Uncle Doom.
that yeah, that I'm only familiar with in seeing random things on Facebook and then from the Marvel Wastelander series, which everyone still after you finish this, go back and listen to all those. They're on podcast form. They're amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, this is one of those shows or one of those movies that it is a 5 out of 5. I'm highly anticipated, and I think kind of like you said, all the actors are great actors on their own. Hopefully Joseph Quinn plays Master of Puppets again one
yeah.
more
Right.
time, just to give it to me one last time, and I'll be
I don't think
happy.
that's out of the realm for Johnny Storm. I think
It's not.
I think he can still do it.
um, and then I see I portrayed the first steps as whatever they do, they cause an incursion, and it's their first steps into our
MCU.
universe. Yeah, and that was but the baby Valeria's first steps is also a fun way to look at it.
Yeah. I don't think they confirmed whether or not that Doom, the RDJ's Doom, is the Doom for their universe, but it'll be interesting if he is, and if he escapes with them
Mhm.
out of this. I wonder if this will be the last time we see Galactus. This story is the Galactus story, so it's like once we do this, does he come back? His biggest story is confronting the Fantastic Four and being like, "I am here," to
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see that, and I know that I have bought the Fantastic Four Marvel Masterworks, which are like reprintings of the first initial issues of those things. It'd be really cool to look back at some of the early origins of that stuff. My favorite thing is when they get their powers, and when the comic was printed, it's all like, you're, oh my god, you're hideous.
I've
You're
seen
yeah,
that.
he's like, you're hideous. You got to be a
I'm the
thing, and
thing.
I guess you are the thing, and you're on fire. You are some sort of human torch, and you are invisible, so you'll be the invisible girl. And you're stretchy. What are you gonna call yourself, Mister Fantastic?
Yes, I've seen that.
Terrible read,
Also,
absolutely ridiculous.
yeah. Hey, read the room, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
Read the room.
uh, yeah, read the room. No, the one thing I want everyone to know is that there are multiple iterations of the Silver Surfer. Just because this one it seems to be female, doesn't mean it's woke.
It sucks that we
Doesn't
have to have a
mean
woke disclaimer every so
yeah,
often.
yeah. It's like just read. Like I don't
Read
even know a lot
anything.
about the. Yeah, but there are multiple iterations of Silver Surfer. So just everyone know that because it's a woman doesn't mean it's woke. It just means they picked a different character. Also, see that statement for every other property and every
Yes.
other cinematic everything.
When you feel the venom
Hmm.
rising up in you, take a second and say, but has this been done before?
Hmm.
Is this multi-billion-dollar studio randomly choosing to change somebody's race or gender on a whim? Or is there a basis of this in the 80 years that this medium has existed? And odds are you're not 80. So odds are you missed something in history that makes this valid. But so with your lack of knowledge in this, how anticipating are you of this?
Oh, 5 out of 5. This is what I'm trying to be more cognizant of how biased I am toward the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and acknowledging that there have been missteps along the way or things that I'll go back and watch that when I eventually watch again I don't love. This is one of those that I feel like you can't get wrong. Like this seems to be such a basis for the MCU that if you miss this, you're only gonna miss further or you're gonna miss more going further.
Yeah, you
So
gotta
you
nail
have
this.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't nail it, chances are you need to just do incursion in the MCU and start over.
Yes, yes.
Which,
Yeah. Yeah.
which wouldn't be the worst thing. There's still a lot of Iron Man stories and Captain America stories and other character stories for that matter
And
that we could pick.
ironically, although Spider-Man is a bigger, I would say, like merchandise mover, this is like Marvel's uh Superman in the sense of like
Hmm.
this was their first like real project, and it took off, and they haven't been able to touch it because it's been over at Fox. So I gotta believe that for years they've been wanting to do something revolutionary with this franchise, with this IP. Hopefully, First Steps is it. Um, so although we got Riri Williams coming over for her own show, and last we saw her was in Wakanda Forever, we're going back to Wakanda in August 6th for Eyes of Wakanda, an upcoming animated miniseries on Disney Plus set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Created by Todd Harris, it focuses on the Hatut Zorazi, an elite Wakandan warriors tasked with retrieving vibranium artifacts throughout history. The series is produced by Marvel Studios Animation and Proximity Media and will closely be tied to MCU continuity. The voice cast includes Winnie Harlow, Cress Williams, Patricia Belcher, and Anika Nani Rose, amongst others. Development began in March of 2023 and was officially announced in December of 2023. Unlike other Marvel animated series, Eyes of Wakanda will have a stronger connection to the MCU, existing within the secret timeline. Eyes of Wakanda is set to premiere on Disney Plus on August 6th with 4 episodes. It'll be the first series of Phase 6 in the MCU. This feels like a Trojan horse. Them repeatedly saying that has a connection to the MCU means they're
Means like it
going to
hasn't.
introduce something in this that they want to pick up later. Like with time traveler, they put something and they come back 50 years and it's exactly where you put it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's happening here. What are they hiding in this? And what are they hiding in this? And is it Denzel Washington? Is what I'm
I
guessing.
was gonna say it's Denzel Washington. They're gonna put Denzel Washington here, and then we'll be right back. Just stay here. They're
Yeah.
gonna cryogenically freeze him, and then we're gonna move on.
That's it's got to be it, right? Like, that's got to.
I don't know enough about Black Panther or Wakanda to be able to answer that. I can't think of any, like, unless you want to include like a new, I don't know, like the another meteor hitting, or you want to do some more Namor stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I can't, unless we get like Tiger Shark or some obscure Atlantean character.
Uh-huh.
I think that would be the only thing I could think of, unless there's just another of the herb somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Or if we want to include, kind of dig more into like mutant stuff, like really
Adamantium or
get into
stuff.
Madripoor, really get into some of these other fictional, like go to Latveria,
Yeah.
really build these places that we haven't really thought much about.
Yeah, I like the idea of them going around and sort of like finding vibrate. Like I think that'd be a cool thing, even if you do like a period piece, like every one is from a different decade or something like
Yeah.
that. Then you can also look at older time sort of heroes. I do think that they're hiding something in this. I want that to be known now when we see it in August. I want everyone to know that I suspected that they were hiding something in this. I think it's Denzel. But I'm also thinking maybe it's a tribe. Maybe maybe some of these warriors will come back in Black Panther 3, which also seems kind of tossed up into the air because last we left that old girl didn't want to be the Black Panther, or at least she didn't want to rule Wakanda. She kind of left that to M'Baku.
Yeah.
And what does that mean when it comes to Black Panther
Oh,
3?
I forgot. I only watched that once because it was such a hard
It's
watch.
so
Uh,
depressing. It's not a
it
bad
it
film. It's
make
just incredibly depressing.
yeah, it makes me the whole movie. I was just fucking sad, and I'm like, man, like it's hard to go back and just like feel. It's like playing like just a segue to video games for a second. Did you play The Last of Us 2?
Not yet. That I played Last of
Uh,
Us 1 for the first time this year, and The Last of Us 2 I'll probably play for the first time next year.
The Last of Us 2 to me is a beautiful game. The story is amazing. But like there were times in the game, and I'm telling my wife, like, she's like, "Oh, are you playing that game?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, she's like, "Is it not a fun game?" I'm like, "No, it's fun. I just like it makes me feel in ways that I don't want to feel in a video game." And like,
I've seen visceral
yeah.
reactions to not only that game but a certain woman in that game. But I found ways to tiptoe around what actually goes
Oh,
on.
that's not my problem. I'm just being like, there are just parts in the game where I'm just like, God, this is so freaking sad, or this is so freaking overwhelming emotionally, where
Yeah.
it's like, is this even a fun game? Or it got to the point where toward the end, there was so much happening. I recommend it just for the record, and I'll go back to the MCU in a second, where I was so
I mean,
touched, where I'm
technically you're
like,
there because Pedro Pascal. And...
oh, that's fair. It's like I'm only playing this game to know what it's like because it's such an emotional game. I don't think I could ever go back and play it again and have the same feeling because it was that good. But yeah, that's how I felt about Wakanda or Black Panther 2.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I hopefully it fleshes out a bit more of that. I even heard that they were kind of on the fence with the actress for that because of stuff, maybe X stuff that was going on at
Oh
the
yeah,
time.
that was
Remember?
the Letitia Wright stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of weird stuff going on with there. So hopefully all their ducks in a row. Marvel felt very complicated for a very long time in the last couple of years because of
Mhm.
they seemingly did have a plan. And what's so weird is that the first couple phases wasn't all hinging on Thanos.
Hmm.
And eventually
Yeah.
got there, but it didn't start with like everything connects back to Thanos. To the point that by the time you get to Infinity War, we have to make up where the Soul Stone is because we didn't put it anywhere in the MCU. Like we didn't say, "Oh yeah, it's obviously over there." We're like, "Oh shit, we forgot one." Yeah, oh, it's on Volmer. Everybody,
Yeah.
that's where it's at.
I remember there was an interview with Josh Whedon, and they're like, "How did you know you were gonna go with Thanos as like the big villain at the end?" He's like, "Oh, I just put him there as a cameo. I just thought it was cool."
Yeah,
Like, and that was it. Thanos was added just because he thought it was a cool idea.
you could pay it off in 20.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you don't have to, but I feel like they made all this Kang stuff so immediate that now taking him out has completely unearthed the entirety of this plan, and they've kind of just been working hard to fix it since then.
Yeah.
We'll see how
Oh,
that
also,
goes.
I would think Eyes of Wakanda 2. 2 out of 5.
I think I might have a 3 there. You know what I'm hoping for? I'm hoping for dynamic animation. I hope it doesn't look the same as everything else. And I'm looking for some badass score. I think Wakanda has very unique music in it, both films,
Oh
Black
yeah.
Panthers, that I think that I really really like, and action. I want to see some really cool action, some really cool weapons. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I don't think I have anything lower than that. I'll give it a 2 because you gave it a 2. And there's two eyes of Wakanda. It all kind of comes together. So we're on our last three projects: August, October, and December. Starting off with Peacemaker season 2. In August, the second season of Peacemaker is an upcoming American superhero television series set in the DC universe. A soft reboot of the series that continues the story of Christopher Smith, aka Peacemaker, a jingoistic mercenary. The season is produced by DC Studios, with James Gunn returning as showrunner. John Cena reprises his role as Peacemaker, joined by Danielle Brooks, Freddie Stroma, Jennifer Holland, Steve Agee, Robert Patrick, Frank Grillo, Sol Rodriguez, David Denman, and Tim Meadows. The season was originally ordered in February of 2022, Gunn writing and directing all 8 episodes. However, production was delayed when Gunn became co-CEO of DC Studios and shifted focus to the Superman film. Filming for Peacemaker resumed in March of 2024, with principal photography taking place from June to November. The second season of Peacemaker is scheduled to premiere on Max in August, with a total of 8 episodes. This is a 4 out of 5 from me. I really, really was surprised by Peacemaker season 1, to be honest. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, because I felt like the premise on the face of it was kind of silly, and I think John Cena can be a little hammy, but I've never seen R-rated John Cena, and R-rated John Cena is hilarious. I know he's done things like Blockers and other films where he's kind of had like a bit of an R-rated slant, but I really really like him in this role, and I want to use Peacemaker similar to the Suicide Squad to sort of introduce like lesser known characters. I can't necessarily remember who that little dude was. It was Judo Master, right? Have you seen Peacemaker?
No, yeah, yeah, it was judo, I believe.
Yeah, Judo Master. Like you should be. The comics get so weird, and what I loved at a certain point when they started DC Universe and it was kind of doing like Titans and Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing and stuff, like explore the weird sections of the universe that Superman won't, that Batman won't. You
Yeah.
understand? And I want Peacemaker to be that vehicle. I'd like the Suicide Squad to also be that vehicle, right? Like just show me some weird, what, the butterflies was in season 1, the alien butterflies,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Like show me all that stuff. Like all that stuff I think is hilarious. And then you do a little nod to the fact that it's in the grand universe, like when the Justice League showed up in the last act of the season. He's like, "Nah, fuck it, I got it. You guys are on your own there." But do me a favor and yeah, tell the folks your background with Peacemaker and what are you thinking about season 2. I will.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for me, I was super into James Gunn. No, so Peacemaker season one, I thought the action was phenomenal, but more importantly was the intro. I thought the intro, the dance number was pretty fun. It was very interesting, especially when it wasn't really technically just a bunch of choreographed dance moves, which I have seen online that is rumored to have been choreographed by Alan Tudyk. I think he's a really funny character. Peacemaker himself is a really, really funny character because one, John Cena's level of comedic timing is really, really good. But when you get to like the episode or the first episode where you meet the dad and you see how a lot of the things he does is one, not to be considered effeminate in any which way, and then you just see the clear want of a relationship he wants to have with his dad, but his dad clearly doesn't give a shit beyond like him just killing, um, well, let's just say non-whites. And then especially as the show goes on and he becomes, what is it,
White
the White
Dragon.
Dragon? Okay.
Yeah, the White
Yeah.
Dragon.
No, the show it's so funny. It's so well done. the leader of their group, the actor who played the High Evolutionary
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Guardians 3, for me, he was probably the most interesting character because you know
Mur?
zero about. I think so.
It was Mur.
I'm not one to commit to anything.
Bro, to me, vigilante.
Yeah, he's
Vigilante.
funny. He's so
Yo,
good.
cause you know what it is? Sometimes you watch so much stuff that you're like, this guy's comedic and I get that he's supposed to be funny, but I've heard these jokes a million times, kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And the stuff that he was doing, I was just like, what? Like he's in the he's at the it ends with him in the hospital. He takes out his own catheter and jumps out the window.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like what is going on? All his conversation about like, are you ready to rock? And he's like passing
Yeah.
out in the car.
Uh,
But yeah, if this show allows them to do things like a white supremacist villain, you know what I'm saying? You
mhm.
can't do that on Disney Plus, or they won't go to those lengths to do that on
Yeah, you
Disney
probably
Plus.
don't want to do that on Disney
You
Plus.
know, but like if you know that they won't, this is where you come in, right? With a little bit more serious subject matter. But do you think there's any way season 2 can top season 1?
I hope so. I mean, Peacemaker's a character I know almost nothing about comic wise.
Most people don't. He's actually
Yeah.
a not a DC Comics character. He's a Charlton Comics character, and Charlton was bought out by DC.
Oh, that
Char-
makes it funnier. But
yes, that's what I'm saying. So here's a little quick little bit of trivia. Alongside him was characters like a tech character, Ted Cord, the Blue Beetle, a character
Mhm.
called the Question, who you might have seen in like Justice League animated stuff. He wears a trench coat and he has a you can't see his face. It's like blank sort of expression there, right? Peacemaker, etc. So, in 1980s, they just bought him, right? And they have this writer who's writing for them, this guy called Alan Moore. And Alan Moore is like, hey, I want to write a story about like the horrors of superhero, and I'd like to use the guys we just got to tell that story. And they read his story, and they went, if you do that with these characters, we can never use these characters again. Captain Adam was another one.
Okay.
You know, so what he did instead was he took the characters that he wanted to use and made caricatures of them. And the Blue Beetle, this sort of tech legacy character, because it was an original Blue Beetle, and then Blue Beetle becomes this guy Ted Cord, eventually Jaime Reyes that we know from the most recent modern stuff, right? But takes Blue Beetle, the character, and thinks, okay, he has a big like ship called the Beetle Mobile. He makes his tech. All right, I'll make a guy similar, big vehicle, all uses tech. We'll call him Night Owl. I got this guy, Captain Adam, who's all powerful and is now whatever. We'll
Oh.
make him a guy called Doctor Manhattan. Well, we got this neo noir, fucking trench coat wearing Question. We'll just make him a guy called Rorschach, and he creates Watchmen ultimately. And they were all just like, if it was up to him, he would have used these guys. And Peacemaker, I want to say was either the comedian or Ozymandias. I want to say it was a comedian. Like the idea that his name doesn't mean anything that he's actually out there doing,
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And so I've always found that funny. Like these are all characters. Like even Shazam is a character that's not a DC character. They bought that from somebody else. They bought Shazam through a lawsuit that posited that Shazam was too similar to Superman. So they said black hair, cape, symbol. That's basically Superman. We're gonna sue you for that. Got tied up so much in the courts, and then they eventually settled and they bought Shazam. But at the time, if you can remember, this character was called Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
Another
Captain
thing,
Marvel, yeah.
another thing was Captain Marvel at the time was also outselling Superman. So then the lawsuit came out, as it would, right?
That's
And
what you do.
yeah, that's what you do. And so then the next step became so now they have him. So now the legalese is tied up. We now own Captain Marvel, and now that we own him, we can use him. Fortunately, while y'all were fighting, Marvel came up with a
Yeah.
character called Captain
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel, yeah. That's pretty good. Like,
so
what a power move.
So
Yeah.
Marvel comes up with their Captain Marvel, And DC cannot call now Shazam Captain Marvel, so they have to call him Shazam, which has never made sense because if the character's name is Shazam, then he can't introduce himself. Because if he
Yeah, no,
introduces
exactly.
himself, he will transform. So yeah, DC full of fun legal BS like the
Yeah, I didn't
Watchmen
know all
stuff.
that. That's fun.
It's so petty, but also really funny. And I think that whoever made Shazam has cursed DC and their ability to use him, and thus all these other iterations it hasn't really.
Zachary Levi. No,
Yeah,
no, my so um with Peacemaker, I would say 4 out of 5. One was good. Season 1 was really really good. Season 2, if it's even half as funny, then it's gonna be very great. But my favorite line was they're like, "Oh, you're the Peacemaker," and he's like, "Don't you kill people?" And he's like, "I'll kill any man, woman, and child who
he
stops
goes, I
being."
love peace so much, I'll kill any man, woman, and child to preserve it, or whatever.
Yes, and, like, I remember thinking like that is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's so
Like,
and he's so serious about it too. Like it's so serious about it. It makes sense to him. Um,
hmm
my thing is the big sort of improv moment where they finger his dad on something, and so he's gonna go to jail. He's like, "You could have fingered anybody," and they're like who? And he just starts naming random people. He's like, "The
Yes.
Red Ninja Turtle," fucking Zach
Yeah, yeah.
Morris. He just starts naming, and going off. I he did professional wrestling, but I completely forgot John Cena's improv skills.
Yeah.
He was really really good. And Gunn seems to dig him too, so I just like that all of them are friends. And I want to think that none of them call Dwayne Johnson. Think about when you think
Well,
about
especially
it.
not now. I guarantee you, we get a thing where he blows up a Black Adam thing.
That would be
Some
hilarious.
version, some statue, a toy. I bet
Did you see
Peacemaker
Black Adam?
destroys one. No, I did, unfortunately.
I don't know if you remember, but the ending of Black Adam has Peacemaker, the team Peacemaker, walk up to Shazam.
No, I don't remember that at all.
It's John Economist,
Yeah,
dye beard. Remember that? That was a
yeah.
thing when he actually admitted that he does dye his beard because he's feeling a little old. Like that was a, but yeah, dye beard and the wife, Jennifer Holland, the blonde.
Oh, that's
They show up
right.
to Shazam because that's his name, and are like, hey, listen, we're trying to like put together a team. And he's like, the Avengers. They're like, no, we can't call it that. So I wonder if there's gonna be that was the end of Black Adam. So I wonder if they're like, yeah, we went down that route, so it was a dead end. Everyone's dead.
Well, they've already kind of said that, like, with the with what it was Aquaman and the Flash in season 1, and they were like, yeah, they're gonna have to retcon it a little bit, like just to make it fit with the new thing because it doesn't make sense now.
This beginning is going to be very strange. It's similar thing happened when they started the New 52. The idea is that things are canonical when they say they are canonical. We
hmm
have to wait until they confirm that the things that we saw actually did exist. If not, it's fair game to say that it didn't. But I love the idea that Amanda Waller's daughter outs the Suicide Squad, thus leading to the creation of the Creature Commandos. That's pretty. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
that's pretty fun.
That's
Yeah.
pretty fun there. And as somebody, I was showing somebody some properties who've never seen them. I showed them the Suicide Squad, and they had a blast. It ignited like this thing in my head of like, damn, there's so many people who like don't know the fun stuff because they're in the midst of all the garbage.
hmm
And then I showed them. No, first we watched Creature Commandos, and then I showed them the Suicide Squad, and like the handshake of those two, the idea that like you still have Viola Davis, she looks exactly how she did. You have Rick Flag Jr. and Senior. Like it all just fits. It feels connected in a way that other things haven't in so long that it makes me excited for the rest of this forward. We're
Yeah.
gonna get a live action David Harbour Frankenstein. Eventually, somewhere down the line, did the bride ask for me? Shut up, bro. No one's talking about the damn bride. But yeah, I'm anticipating a Peacemaker as well. I'll give it. We talked about some mature content coming from out of DC and mature content with stuff like The Boys and Gen V, but looks like Marvel is dipping their toe in October, the spookiest of the seasons, because they are coming out with Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies is an upcoming animated miniseries created by Zeb Wells for Disney Plus based on the Marvel Comics series. Produced by Marvel Studios Animation, it continues the alternate timeline of the What If episodes, What If Zombies. The series follows survivors battling zombified heroes and villains. The company revealed in July 2022 that the Marvel Zombies will be the first animated series to be rated TVMA. It could feature all the gore and splatter you want from a zombie show. Winterbaum called the series pretty intense, saying it will not pull its punches, similar to the Marvel Zombie comics. Deb Wells serves as head writer, with Brian Andrew directing. The cast includes Aquafina, David Harbour, Simu Liu, Elizabeth Olsen, Florence Pugh, Haley Steinfeld, Dominic Thorne, Iman Vellani, and more reprising the MCU roles. Animation is by Stellar Creative Labs. Developed in 2021 as a spin-off of What If, the series will premiere on October 3rd as part of Phase 6 and will be 4 episodes. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. What's interesting is that the comic series is very popular, but part of the popularity of the comic series is the dark comedy, because the zombies in the Marvel Zombies universe talk. They're sentient.
That's
They'll
makes
be
them
like
funnier.
they'll be like one with one arm, and he's like, I don't know, bro, I just fell off. You know what I'm saying? But I am hungry though, and that's kind of like the little bit of this. I saw an interview where the creator or the showrunner is like, they won't speak in this, so maybe just be straight up horror. I did like that episode of What If with zombie Wanda
Yeah.
and zombie, was the Hulk in there? I think.
I just remember the Vision was feeding people to Wanda. And
Uh,
like because
yeah. Black Panther. It was feeding Black Panther to Wanda. Maybe cut off his
yeah,
leg or whatever. Feeding it to
yeah, he's
Wanda.
like feeding him to Wanda. He's like, this makes her happy. And it's
Yeah.
like, Jesus Christ. Like,
100%. Where are you on zombies? Where are you on this Marvel zombies thing? Are you looking forward to it?
they announced this in 2022. We actually talked about it on last year's
Anticipated?
yeah, like
I,
anticipated. I think
it's funny because I saw a post in our memories that was like 2024 slate of shows, and this was on it, and there was something else that was on it that didn't. I think What If was on
yeah.
it, and it hadn't been announced yet or whatever. But yeah.
No, this one I think 4 out of 5. This is I won. I mean I'm worried about animation, but if it's good animation, then or if it grabs me immediately, I'll be hyper into it. The What If episode I thought was really well done. I thought it wasn't super gory. I would like to see it more of a mature version of it. I think that could be really well done. I would just want to know is if we're in that same What If universe, like at that same world,
Mhm.
if it's pre all of that stuff, all the death of everybody, or if it's like afterwards, or are we in a completely new zombie world?
It
That's been a
says
little,
it says it continues the alternate timeline, but I think it would be interesting. Are we going to go to day one, or
yeah,
we can continue from the events of that What If series? It would be more interesting if it's like episode 1 is day 1, episode 2 is day 2, and then it says watch, go watch
yeah,
What If
yeah,
zombies, and then come back over and we'll finish the rest of this kind of stuff. Um, but no, I think it got pretty dark and grim in the version that we watched, the regular What If zombies. So I am excited to see what falls in between TVMA and what we saw.
hmm
What I think I had fun with it, and with 4 episodes, it'll be gone
yeah.
before anyone could even have a really hard opinion on it.
And I would hope that they would do it as just a 4 episode release as opposed to a weekly release thing.
Yeah. Oh, like a
That
one
being
chunk.
said,
Yeah.
if it starts October 3rd, it would make sense to do a 4 week or a weekly release
Until
and finishing
Halloween.
it up on Halloween. Yeah,
I
so
want another Moon Knight season. Give me more
yeah,
Moon Knight.
2026 maybe.
Bring the werewolf back. What's he doing? Bring
Yeah. And what do you call
the
Ted?
werewolf. Like when they play Freebird, bring the werewolf. Bring the werewolf
Yeah.
out.
Give me what's her name? Emma, what's her name? The
Bloodstone.
Bloodstone. Yeah, give
Yeah,
me Emma
yeah, yeah.
Bloodstone.
Bring her ass in here. We are finishing up our predictions as far as television shows are concerned, and movies are concerned with Wonder Man. Wonder Man is an upcoming television series created by Destin Daniel Cretton and Andrew Guest for Disney Plus, based on the Marvel Comics character. Produced by Marvel Comics under its TV label, it will be the 17th MCU television series and shares continuity with the franchise's films. Guest serves as, I forgot the guy's last name is Guest. So I was like, guess what? Guest serves as showrunner with production support from family owned and Onyx Collective. Yahya Abdul Mateen II. I got
There's
that all
two
on
of
the
them.
front. Just glad I got that
Like
all done on the first one. Stars as Simon Williams slash Wonder Man, joined by Ben Kingsley, bro. We getting Trevor. Trevor
he's
Slattery's
back.
back.
Trevor Slattery returns.
Demetrius Gross, Ed Harris. I heard even rumors that Josh Gad is going to be on this. Creighton's overall deal with Marvel Studios signed in December of 2021 led to the series development in 2022, with Abdul Mateen cast in October of that year. Filming began in April of last year, or 2023, in Los Angeles, and was paused because of the writer's strike. I remember that because I remember people walking on set to interrupt this very production as it was going on.
Mm-hmm.
makes me a little proud. Um, it will consist of 8 to 10 episodes, and it will be released under the Marvel Spotlight banner, as part of Phase 6 of the MCU. And that was kind of where Werewolf by Night's at. Spotlight banner. Wonder Man is Simon Williams. Simon Williams has a bunch of powers. The most interesting parts about Simon Williams is that he's the brother of a character called Grim Reaper, who is a villain. And he eventually becomes a love interest of Wanda Max. It could be setting all that stuff up with White Vision in the background waiting for his time to shine. But another funny part of the character is that he's an actor, which brings in the Trevor Slattery of it all. And I wonder how much of this is going to be like a comedy parody of trying to make it big in Hollywood, or just the seedy underbelly of the acting world when it comes to this kind of stuff. Yaya was able to portray not only Black Manta, but he was Dr. Manhattan for the Watchmen television series. So he has his bona fides when it comes to playing comic book characters. Like I said, this character is a character he's been on like the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
So if they ever decide, not the Young Avengers, the West Coast Avengers, it's like him, White Vision, Tony,
Uh,
a couple other people. But to what end is the question I always ask when these things get introduced. Is Wonder Man setting up for Vision Quest?
well,
Is
that
it?
would make sense.
Yeah. And I mean, to my knowledge, there is no Wanda to flirt with, so there's that too.
We'll
but
see.
but yeah, we will see. I'm gonna go with a 3. I want it to be good. I want it to be good. I really like Yaya, and Wonder Man is a little bit of a blank spot for me. So why not make him somebody? Why not? Why
Yeah.
not have him be somebody significant and really really cool? What are your takes on Wonder Man?
Wonder Man's also a blank spot for me. But my biggest familiarity is in WandaVision when she's turning everything into the circus or whatever.
Oh
One of
yeah,
the guys is in a Wonder Man costume.
that's
Um,
funny.
yeah, but I know almost nothing about Wonder Man. I do like the idea that he's going to help set up Vision Quest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be a 3 out of 5. I mean, I would walk in hoping for amazing, and so far from my experience, I thought the Spotlight banner has been pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's no reason why they can't do prestige one shots of these things
mhm.
if they don't have the commitment to, flesh them out in bigger stuff. I'm totally down with that. Like they gave me a series with Man Thing in it. Like that's pretty damn cool.
Exactly.
That's pretty damn cool on the face of it. But I'm done on the as far as movies and television is concerned. I know you have done some studying over what might be coming out of the video game world, but what do you got on your plate over there?
All right, I only have a couple, so
That's fair.
everyone that watches, get ready to deep dive. So for Marvel Rivals, looks like we have about one, two, three, four, a bunch of characters coming.
Oh wow.
Um, so the next DLC update it should be adding in Blade, Ultron, Emma Frost, Jean Grey slash Phoenix, which would be fun. Each character of the Fantastic Four,
Wow.
Captain Marvel, one of my personal favorites of this list, which is Hit Monkey,
I dig it, monkey.
Angela, the Lost Asgardian, and Deadpool.
Boy, we completely missed Hit Monkey season 2, huh?
We did. Well, I
I so
hope.
I covered season 1, season 2. Yeah, dropped in the middle of July. We must have been in the midst of all those summer releases, things like Deadpool and
Well,
Wolverine.
now I got something to watch.
Yeah, yeah,
Season 2, yeah.
yeah. Hit
All right.
Monkey. I like
So
Hit
Hit
Monkey.
Monkey.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
great. Then on the app game or the mobile app game, Marvel Strike Force. We are going into, I want to say, year 6. For those who have not played, the first part of the game is a fight against. It's a strategy game for everyone.
Yeah.
You pick 5 characters and you kind of build your synergies and whatever. Um, your first part of the game is you're fighting to stop Ultimates from conquering your realm because you are the Nexus universe. Well, each of us are.
Yeah.
You then help stop Ultimus, and then the next guy up is Apocalypse. But the big part of after playing all of these things is you realize Professor X has not been around at all, and no one knows why. The last 6 months or so, we've been getting an Old Man Logan emergence, and he has appeared looking for Charles Xavier
Okay.
because he's from a different universe, and so he has been essentially pulling the game toward finding where Charles Xavier is this entire time. So for any of those who've not been on
You can never
it,
trust his ass.
yeah,
You can never trust
yeah.
Charles.
So you don't know if you're getting good Charles Xavier or bad Charles
Yeah,
Xavier or
yeah,
just
totally.
you're so that's course. So we're right now going into the Age of X. It is a free to play game, though you can spend money on additional equipment. Um, so there's that. So for those who are interested in that, here comes Charles Xavier soon. Probably they say by the spring of this year. So you have until March or April to really delve into it. And you can get fairly far if you can kind of know what you're doing.
How
There
you been digging? How
is
you been digging Rivals?
I've played so much Rivals.
Yeah,
My right now I have 5 people that I can play I think pretty well. Um,
I haven't found
Luna
my main
Snow.
yet. I haven't found my main yet. It hurts.
I'm trying to be better at healers because everyone needs support.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
me, Luna Snow is kind of where my go-to. If I can't be Luna Snow, I try to run Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
Um, but the people, a
Wanda.
lot of times, as I get more competitive, people want to play who they want to play, and they don't want to do the team aspect of it, which is very frustrating because it's
Yes.
competitive.
Right, right,
And
right.
then so I've started running Magneto and Thor as tanks. I run a little bit of Hawkeye and Black Widow and Scarlet Witch as DPS. And then if I can't run Luna Snow, um, I don't play support or healer because I'm bad with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. Just out there
Yeah.
swinging, out there
Yeah. So I was like,
running and gunning.
yeah. So I'm trying to get better at Jeff the Sharp. He's the worst.
He's so
Um,
small.
yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, And then last or my second, I have 2 left on my list. One is called Marvel 1943. It's the Rise of Hydra.
Oh, is
It
this
is
the Captain America,
Captain America
Black
Black
Panther?
Panther game.
Yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about that thing.
due out this year, assuming everything comes out on time. Supposed to be feature Captain America, and I believe you're not, I think you're T'Chaka's father.
Oh, so not even
Um,
T'Challa's father.
yeah, or yeah, you're right. You're T'Chaka's father.
Oh wow,
If memory serves me, they also
that makes
get
sense.
to play with a member of the Howling Commandos
You said 19 what
and
40?
1943.
I think that would be grandfather, and then maybe like from the 60s to the 80s, father,
Yeah,
T'Chaka, and then T'Challa.
and then you get to be oh no, you are Azuri will be the Black Panther of the era, whoever Azuri is. I'm not familiar with the Black
Interesting.
Panther one.
I know Azuri is also the name of Black Panther's son that he has with uh gosh, Storm.
Oh, okay.
Um, but you're right. Azuri was the ruler of the kingdom of Wakanda and the father of T'Chaka
Oh,
and Jobu, who is Killmonger's dad.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then lastly, there is a game called Marvel Mystic Mayhem due out this year as a team-based tactical RPG from the same people behind Marvel Rivals. It is more of it says an MMOBA genre. Nightmare is the basic antagonist who will trap heroes in their worst nightmares. So it's like a dungeon crawler a bit too.
I'm really liking these
Currently,
anime-inspired character designs. They look really, really cool.
oh, for
The
the
Mystic
Rise of
Mayhem.
Hydra.
For
Oh,
Mystic
oh no,
Mayhem.
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
Mystic
yeah.
Mayhem.
No, it's super cool. And then it's the rumor is it comes out this year, but there is no official release date on that yet. And then my final game would be Marvel's Wolverine, which was announced by Insomniac, and I think it was 2021 or 2022.
Hmm.
Um, It was rumored to be late 2025, so I included it on the list, but it appears it will likely be 2026, though I wanted to include it just for funsies.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it's supposed to take place also in the Spider-Man universe of the Insomniac group, which could also another one of the leaks appears to be that Wolverine is like the launching point of a standalone X-Men game.
Mm.
So that's the video game corner of 2025 podcast.
I'm also looking through here. When the heck are we supposed to get that Blade game?
I think it's from what I understand, it's in full development. They haven't announced anything yet, so it's one of those 2025, 2026s, but there's truly been nothing announced.
With
Um,
with the stuff that you have announced right now with the video game stuff, what is your what are you recommending those people out there can't miss?
well, you can't miss the Spider-Man games. If you have a PC or a PlayStation, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2, you got to do. Um, I'm a big fan of the Marvel Strike Force. I play it constantly, much to my wife's dismay. Um, and then I am really, really enjoying Marvel Rivals, which is currently a free-to-play game for everyone on the current generation of consoles.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like that Fortnite. Uh,
Overwatch is what
um,
I hear.
yeah. Oh no, it's kind of like the Fortnite buy thing. You don't have to
Oh
buy
yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah.
It's completely free to play. However, if you want to choose and build and do whatever else with new characters and skins and
You
battle
say
packs,
Fortnite, but it's the drug dealer business model of
no, for sure.
here's a bit. If you want
Yeah,
more, you're gonna have to
yeah,
pay.
yeah.
This first
Uh,
one's on the house.
Yeah, so you don't have to get the battle passes. They do add fun. There's a lot of really, really cool. Like earlier, I got killed by someone wearing the Punisher from 2099
Oh
skin,
wow,
which
that's
was
pretty
pretty
cool.
baller.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it's a fun game.
If you're a Marvel fan, it's all skins, bro. I've been there
Yeah,
with Ultimate
100%
Alliance. It's
skins.
all you care about. Is like, I want to play with my version of Spider Man. I don't
Hmm
want to play with this version of Spider Man. And I saw they had the MCU Moon Knight stuff with the wraps, actual wraps, and
hmm
the moon in the middle. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
Man, like
a
I
lot of
said,
fun.
we live in a world where this is, like I said, all this stuff that's coming about in the next couple of years is going to actually and factually change a lot of people's minds when it comes to these characters, these films, these TV series. An embarrassment of riches, and it felt like we were walking through a desert for a while and just hoping for good content. Deadpool versus Wolverine really carried the day when it came to last year. When I think about it, when I look back, it's like it wasn't Craven, it wasn't Madam Web, it wasn't Joker too. So yeah, but I have a feeling that we are being set up for a lot of badass cheering moments, maybe a couple of heartbreaks, but overall, I think that we're gonna end up in a better place at the end of next year than we were at the end of this year, which is all that we try to do, right? That's all that we try to do here. We did our best predicting what the latest and greatest things are going to come to be in comic books and comic book media for 2025. But one thing that I will tell you is 2025 will be a banner year for Comic Book Click, which means a banner year for major issues, major previews, and all the various pieces of content that we put together. Comic Book Click will be boots on ground at MegaCon Orlando. We'll start to kind of talk about that and promote that. So hopefully, if you're listening to this, if you're in Tampa, if you're in the Orlando area, and you end up going over there, you want to meet some of you guys. We're gonna go over there as evangelists, spreading the love of all things comic book click, and continuing to grow and produce content for you guys free of charge. Is what we love to do, and we are constantly in meetings trying to better produce the content for you guys. It's all a labor of love, and we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row. But after a complete year of finding our footing last year and doubling our numbers across the board, time to act like we own the place because we do, and that's exactly what we'll be getting into next year. So, if you want to follow all things Comic Book Click, consider going to comicbookclick.com. Is the one-stop shop for everything Comic Book Click, our merchandise, our articles, and it's the quickest way to get to every single episode of the Major Issues podcast. If you don't, if you have a podcast app of choice and you don't want to go to our website to get every single episode, we're available on every podcast app: Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast, Attic, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. So there's really no excuse if you're looking for us. You can find us. My proudest moment: you can Google Major Issues Podcast, and we'll be the first ones to pop up. we occupy that space. We are, we are the Major Issues Podcast. So consider going back and checking us out. This is episode 362, which means there's no doubt 720 hours plus of content available at comicbookclick.com. So again, go back. The episode I'm going to recommend this week, and I'm going to start trying to do this moving forward. The episode I recommend this week to go back and check out is our last prediction episode and see how off the mark or on the mark we were with our consideration. I wonder what I said about Joker 2 back. But
I was right about Craven.
yeah, right. Didn't you go to like 0?
Oh, I
At the
said I
time?
couldn't go as low as 0, but if I could, I'd do 0.
Hey, there you go, baby.
Same with Madam Web.
Hey, and we're just gonna get better and better at these predictions, man. So laugh at us for what we got wrong, pat us on the back for what we got right, and join us each and every week. We do the Major Issues podcast once a week. It comes out in audio form every single Thursday, but we actually record the podcast live on Facebook, and that can happen any day. So you got to be following us on social media, facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, or use that hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at CBC. We're at Major Issues CBC on Twitter, and we're also at Major Issues CBC on Twitch. So consider that there. You can support us in a myriad of ways. You could tell a friend about the podcast. That's free of charge. You can rate and review the podcast on iTunes, and that's free of charge. If you'd like to give us some money, you can go to comicbookclick.com, hit that shop CBC link, and purchase some merchandise designed by me, and we get a kickback of every single one of those. If you want to just support us outright, go to patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. And for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software that we need to keep providing you guys content free of charge. As we said, we currently have multiple different avenues of content. We are upping the game in 2025 for more content. So anything could help. Like I said, some people think we would get these Patreon stuff and like pat our pockets with it. To me, most of the time, if I get enough money, it's about buying dinner so I can sit and read this book or watch this, 10 episode series, and I have to worry about one aspect of my life as I cover the other for you guys. So that's what we're asking for, a little bit of help here and there. It's your help and it's your enthusiasm that got us this far. We had a banner year in 2024, and there's no doubt in our minds that we're going to have a kick-ass year for 2025. So that's all I have there. I think I am done with my plugs, but All-Star Asa, what do you want to plug and where can people find you?
You can find me on Threads, Asa H. Griffith. You can find me on Twitch at CBC All-Star Asa, where I, much like our live podcast, I'll randomly get on there and stream everything. You'll be seeing me on Marvel Rivals a lot if you start watching. You can see me just wreck people's asses with Magneto. So
that's
there we
worth the
go.
price of admission right there, people.
Yeah, hey,
So-
and it's free.
Hey,
But yeah, feel free to like and subscribe, and whenever I'm online, I'm working on getting some more stuff so I can start recording and then just posting my own videos that are there as opposed to just only appearing live. But haven't done it yet.
yeah, it's all about getting your ducks in a row. I know you just jumping back in this space after occupying some time in this space, and it's only going to take you so. It's riding a bike. You'll get back on it, and next thing you know, your bike's on fire. Let's go, baby.
Friction.
Go. That's it. After a banner year over here at comicbookclick.com, like I said, I want to just thank those who have supported us here. I want to thank Dirt Sheet Radio, who we got into a partnership with earlier this year. Those guys are killing it at comicbookclick.com. We share space over there, and those guys are the industry leaders in pop culture and professional wrestling. Would have known that those things would have gone together like chocolate and peanut butter. They're kicking ass over there. Jonathan Escudero runs a tight ship, and they produce content each and every day. Post shows for every single wrestling show that you could think of: Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, and more. PLEs, pay-per-views, documentary series. But yeah, those guys are constantly killing it. I say always turn on the Dirt Sheet Radio because something is always playing. And yeah, give those guys your support too because they helped us out tremendously, and I love sharing the space with them. The guys do some really genuinely good work.
Good dudes.
But I think I'm about done with this. I have to close my third eye now that we've done a lot of predictions. Namaste. It's dangerous, too dangerous to look into the future for too long. You know, but you got our predictions for this year. I'm locking the door. There's no time to change it. We'll be going through this year now with these sort of predictions, and it'll be hilarious to sort of see how we did moving out. I think by next year, I'm gonna try to take some small notes about what we talked about here, and then next year will be really fun to kind of before we do our predictions for 2026, kind of look at
100%.
like where the hell we were for 2025. But you guys got to be there for that. We ain't stopping, so make sure you get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. I've been to the future, like I said, where we do become the latest and greatest things to come to comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it because next thing you know, Dwayne the Rock Johnson's trying to be Blade because Mahershala Ali's like, are we ever gonna do this or not? So you don't want to go to that future where that happens over there, where you smell where the blade is cooking. Stay here, stay with your friends. Exactly. Stay here, stay with your friends, and we will be here next week to cover Marvel What If 3. But my name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
And I'm All-Star Asa.
And this has been our predictions for 2025. And remember, whether or not you have your third eye open or closed, where you're excited for Captain America, you want to hang out with the Fantastic Four, or it might just be a dropkick just like the Thunderbolts. Remember, you're always part of the clique. Remember, there's a brand new year coming, and it's going to be ours. But always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.